Oh my goodness, don't you just love... Oh my god, I don't like hearing my voice. Oh god. Don't you just like what you're seeing right now? I'm actually getting, like, a consistent 6 to 6.2, like, 6 to 6.2 thousand, like, bit rate. The normal, the standard. I'm finally getting the standard after how many months? Yeah. Thank God. But, god damn it, I'm only gonna be able to do this for, like, 2 days, including this one, at most. Because, well, I mean, I'm going back. I'm going back next week. So, we're about to start soon. So, hang tight. I'll go and explain more afterward. So you know what I was saying earlier? Yeah, it still applies now. It still applies now. We are back. We're actually back at, like, full streaming capacity now. Yeah, after, like, literally months of just the stream quality just suffering because of reasons that I couldn't figure out. It's finally working again. Hi. Hello. I'm back. And finally streaming at a quality, or, well, actually just finally streaming, like, in general. Like, this only week that I'm back here. Mind you, I intended to start, like, streaming again while I'm here, like, on Monday, but, you know, I had that... I basically had, like... The final, like, nail in the coffin for, like, internet issues where basically, like, a day or two of troubleshooting was basically, like, necessary. I mean, with the help of, my dad, we basically tried to figure out what's been going on with the, internet in the house, and it... Basically, on my end, for, like, my setup, I tried everything, like, I could, and it still wasn't, like, it still wasn't fixing the issue. And, well, we later found out that the upload problem with the internet was affecting every other system in the house. So it wasn't... we eventually figured out that it wasn't an issue on, like, my specific end, but it's basically an issue with just the internet, like, in the house. So, for those of you that don't know... we got an ISP guy to come in, I think it was, like, yesterday? Yeah, we had him come in yesterday, and turns out the problem with my internet and why it was so, like, why the upload, stability was so bad, which also explains why, like, the connection quality whenever I played, like, games online was so, like, unstable too, was because of an outdated, or, like, basically, I think it's called a splitter, like, The splitter for the internet in the house was basically really old. Was really old. And it basically needed to get replaced. In fact, it needed to get replaced like probably like months ago. And months ago was when it started to just crap out on us, unbeknownst to us, and was causing like this myriad of like download inconsistencies and upload upload stability issues. So free of charge, the internet splitter in the house was replaced, and behold, I'm actually streaming at, you know, at a consistent standard bit rate for what you would normally need for streaming like these days. And thank God, I'm not dropping any frames either. This is amazing. Like, this is incredible. Like, my upload is actually at, I think, like 22 like megabits per second. It's not like the high end of things, but it's actually just it's great for me. Especially with what I was experiencing over here like the past couple of months. But it's all been resolved now, so we can actually stream at like full capacity again. And I can get stuff back on track finally. These no more scuffed streams. I think the first scuffed stream occurred like during like Sekiro like several months back. Yeah, I mean, I probably should have figured out something was wrong by then, but I mean, well, foresight is not a thing with me. I mean, with the mental tunnel vision that I get, well, that's a kind of a, yeah. I'm not surprised that like I didn't think something was wrong. I guess I just thought at the time that my ISP was just throttling me, and then it turns out that, well, okay. So this time I thought for some time during this current issue, this currently solved issue, I thought the ISP was just throttling us, but it wasn't the case. Yeah. So just exhaust all your troubleshooting options before you just throw out that kind of thing, eh? But anyway, we're back. My audio is actually good now, because I think I explained it in the stream previous to this one that I tried to do on mobile hotspot. Yes, I finally fixed my long-standing audio issue that I had since day one of streaming, and that's literally the fact that on my volume mixer I didn't have OBS at max volume. So game audio was just really quiet because of the fact that it was on OBS was just outputting a volume of like 9 compared to what I usually have standard on this computer, which is like 70 from 100. Yeah, so this is all fine now. Like, I can actually troubleshoot audio like normally now, hopefully. Man. Also, because of my voice too, I actually upped the output from this mic. Yeah, it's typically you would want the output of your mic to just like hit the cusp of like green on like OBS, but I made it go into yellow because of just how the cadence of my voice is. So that's a sacrifice I had to make. If I'm actually trying to record something actually record something clearly, then I'll probably drop it down a bit and actually drop all the rest of the volume sliders down in like OBS, but I don't think I need that right now. But yeah, that's what's been going on with me. Surprise, surprise, it was not a squirrel that just ate through like one of the internet cables in the house. It was literally because of just an outdated component. So I'm good now. So yeah, how's everybody doing? How's everyone doing today? If you didn't read the title, today's stream, just so I can like truly know, this is just an excuse for me to truly know if my internet is stable enough. We will be doing a stream where it's mostly basically just chatting. We're not going to be gaming today, but we might game like the next stream before I have to fly out again, and in now objectively worse internet. Yeah, now I'm gonna return to objectively worse internet compared to when I came back, and I thought the hotel internet was better than this one. Well, that's not the case anymore. But yeah, today we are going to be, well, it's basically like we're basically just trying to, I'm basically just trying to figure out an MMO for me to return to. Yes, I want to play an MMO again. I want to play an MMO again. I really want to play an MMO again. And here's the thing. The newly released, like, online games, like live service online games, aka Tower of Fantasy, Zen Lost Zero, Triple Z. I'm just gonna call it Triple Z. Yeah, all of those, like, those aren't tickling my fancy, and I don't like the monetization in those games, or what the monetization in those games are going to be. So, yeah. When it comes to currently, like, or when it comes to massively multiplayer online games coming out today, I don't really have much hope in that, so I'm looking back at all the MMOs that I've played in my entire, like, gaming life with the intent to come back to at least one of them. There have been times in the past where I've actually juggled like 3 MMOs max at once, which is... Here's the thing, if you're trying to play like an MMO seriously, you can't juggle another MMO with it. If you try to do that, then you're literally an insane person. Like, one MMO, like, especially with how, like, newer and newer MMOs are, actually, or maybe just, like, in the history of MMOs, basically, MMOs take up a bunch of, you know, your time in the day, whether it be through dailies, weeklies, just trying to farm for that one item for your specific, like, for the specific alt that you have, so you can be top pick for, like, tank in, like, a raid or something. Like, there's a lot of things in MMOs that take up your time, and if you try to juggle, like, more than one MMO, then you're kind of, like I said, you're just nuts. And I was that person. I was that kid back then. Would you blame me? One of the reasons why I love MMOs is just to exist in a live, like, a live community environment. That's why I play MMOs. Do I like interacting with the community of any of these games? Not particularly, I just like existing in it. I like existing in the MMO ecosystem. I like doing that. Even though I'm just keeping to myself like I do in real life for some reason. So, I just like existing in an MMO ecosystem. And it even gets to the point where I don't even, like, join guilds for, like, virtually every one of these, like, MMOs aside from one, I think. And this is not counting the games where I basically make my own guild to benefit from, like, you know, guild benefits and stuff like that. Yeah. Most of the time, I just don't join a guild. I know that, I think in Final Fantasy XIV, I never joined a guild, actually. I was on the cusp of joining one, but that was my friend's guild. My friend who pulled me into playing Final Fantasy XIV, except that his guild was a hardcore raiding guild, and that did not pan out well for me. I mean, I didn't even join, but realizing the kind of things that they do whenever, like, a new patch drops with, like, the newest, like Savage Raid or something like that, whatever they call it in that game, yeah. They would try to get server first and stuff like that. They were basically, like, that hardcore, like, when it comes to raiding. But yeah, that kind of stuff, that wasn't for me. But anyway, let me see if I can bring up the list right now. We're just gonna go straight into it because I have I think I can push, like, 2.5 hours at most because currently lunch is being baked in the oven right now. Oh yeah, I'm gonna be having like ribs for like lunch, and those will take like almost like 2 hours to make, and yeah, that, that gives me enough time to. I would hope that gives me enough time to go through this list, but as you can see right here, um, so here's the thing. What I tried to preemptively do was actually write down all of my pros, cons, and then experiences with each MMO, and I didn't have the time for that because look at all these fucking MMOs that I've played like throughout my gaming life. Look at all of that. Yeah. I did not finish what I intended to do preemptively for this stream. So, this stream, I'm just gonna be doing it this way, where I just, like, we end up at, like, one of these MMOs. I'm gonna go through, like, maybe a video, but usually just, like, pictures of this MMO, basically just as, like, a visual aid so I can, like, remind myself, like, oh, this is how the MMO was like, and stuff like that, and hopefully it would just jog my memory of like, all right, this was my experience at the time with this game. And basically what I'm trying to do here is that I'm not trying to critique each game on like a deep mechanical level. I'm gonna try to just critique my experience with the game, even if that ends up with me not really understanding like certain like aspects of the game. I'm not trying to do that. I'm basically trying to recount my experiences with each of these MMOs through the lens of just what I played back in the day. Basically misconceptions about certain aspects and all, because I think there's value in like there's value in the new player perspective. That's what I feel like. And me, with a lot of these MMOs, I didn't really pass, like, with all the MMOs in my list, I played at least, like, 3 hours, but in those 3 hours, it was obviously from, like, a new player perspective, so, it was basically me going in without really knowing much about the game. Some of the games I actually did some research for to get like, to get myself a step ahead. But for the most part, a lot of these I just tried out like raw. But yeah. Yeah, like I said, I value like a new player perspective when it comes to like these games. I'm not trying to go like into each game and going like, all right, this is how the game actually is. Here's the mechanics, and here's X and Y. Here's how this works and stuff like that. No. If say I'm looking into a game like say Arcade, I'm just gonna go into it being like, all right, one of my coworkers brought me into the game, and I tried it out. I liked the class system because it had like, a skill set like class system, and then each, depending on the combination of like skill sets you have in the game, then you just like have your class and stuff like that. But other than that, I do not understand anything else in the game aside. I don't understand the housing, I don't understand the PvP, I don't understand any of that stuff. But from what I played, from what I came to think that I understood about it, I had a good time. So yeah, that's how I'm basically recounting each one of these. But as with the notes here, I have like 3 caveats so far when it comes to like this list. One, I did not list every single MMO. Yeah, which is kind of like, wow, streamer, you lied in your title. Yes, I just realized that right now because of this caveat. But, like, for me, I go by the rule of 3, so if I only tried out an MMO for, like, less than, like, 3 hours, I don't feel like that constitutes me, having it, like, as valid for this list. So right here, I will only list MMOs in which I've played at least 3 hours or more. So all of these, I even tried to recount my estimated like playtime for each of these MMOs. And this includes if I played an MMO, both PC and console, if it was available. If I played it on console or PC. Because there are some MMOs I mostly played on console. I mostly played, like Warframe, for example. Warframe, I mostly played that on console rather than PC. And right now, I'm kind of waiting until the cross-save system gets implemented into Warframe before actually going back into it. But that's going too far ahead. So, second caveat here, the game must still be alive. I'm not really looking into playing, like, dead games. Like, games where there is literally no way to play this game anymore. Like, in the case of, like, say, Dynasty Warriors Online, if I was able to play that game via, like, private server and stuff like that, I would definitely be putting it on this list. But it is not on that list. Yeah. Shoot. If Dynasty Warriors Online was still able to be played in some capacity today, that's like an immediate, like, I'm getting this. I'm coming back to this game. Like, I don't even have to go through this list. I would just come back to that one. That's how much of a that's how much of a Koei Tecmo, like, Warriors series fan I am. But unfortunately, DWO is dead. Is completely dead. With no attempts that I found so far to revitalize the game via private servers. So that's gone. So it's not on the list. And 3, I will not offer an opinion on a game's monetization model if I did not encounter it during my playtime. A lot of these games have really, like... they have... The monetization in a lot of these games are very, like, you know, it's very big. Like, Age of Wushu is one of like the shining examples here, but it's also a shining example of this third caveat here. During my playtime of Age of Wushu, I never did anything with, like, the monetization or, like, the cash shop or, like, whatever Age of Wushu had in the game. I only played the game, like, for only, like, 4 to 5 hours. I never encountered anything, like, regarding this. So if I have no, like, experience with, like, a game's cash shop or, like, monetization model, then I will not offer an opinion on it, because why would I offer an opinion on something that I literally have no experience with? Yeah, so that's the third caveat. If there is another caveat here, I'll probably add it. I'll probably add it in, like, maybe, like, in the middle of, like, this, in this recount here. But, with these in mind, I guess we'll just start, right? Let's see. Do I want another... You know what? I kind of like the BGM that I have right now. This is just the BGM I have, like, for most of the time. But you know what? Monbo Second Class's Night Thought Radio, that's pretty good. Honestly, that's a pretty perfect BGM for me. Yeah. No, I'm digressing again. Holy shit. We are going to start. We are going to start here. Alright, so, first game. Speaking of Age of Wushu, it is Age of Wushu right here. So basically, Age of Wushu is a... How do I describe it? It is a wuxia... It is a wuxia aesthetic, like, MMO, in which there is a... I think there's a high focus on, like, player versus player, like, content or, like, mechanics in the game. That's what I came to understand when I tried it out. I got introduced to the game after watching, like, I think there was a reviewer on, like, that guy with the glasses back in the day who covered Age of Wushu, and he praised the game for how innovative it was at the time. How was it innovative? It was because of stuff like the criminal system in the game. Because in Age of Wushu, there is... It's... Okay, by today's standards, it's kind of like... it's a criminal system, definitely, but basically in the game, like, there is a system by which you can actually get, like, you know, from what I remember, like, you can do stuff that'll get you, like, arrested, and if you get arrested, then you get thrown into jail, and then if you're part of, like, whatever the equivalent of a guild is in this game, you can get your guild mates to bust you out, and then you can get maybe, like, a bounty put on your head or something like that, or maybe you can be, like, wanted in, like, a certain area of the game. It was pretty innovative for its time. Now, as I say that, there are certain parts of it where I could be completely wrong, but that's how I came to understand how maybe expansive the criminal system was in this game. And that's the main reason. I think that's aside from, like, the aesthetic, because I do like the wuxia aesthetic, like the I don't know if you call this, like, ancient Chinese fantasy wuxia, but I like, aside from, like, liking the aesthetic, that's also part of the reason why the criminal system was also part of the reason why I got drawn to the game. Another thing too that was unique to the game, which is, like, kind of a minor thing, but if you're offline, it kind of does, like, a thing where when you are offline in Age of Wushu, your character does not disappear from the world. Your character actually becomes an NPC in the world, most likely in the town that's, like, nearby, and then they'll basically be doing stuff like, you know, hanging around, like, whatever, like, the tavern of, like, that game is. They'll be maybe, like, sweeping in the streets or something like that. And the thing is that other players, I think if you are flagged for it, you can actually interact with this offline version of your character, and in certain cases, enemy players can actually kidnap you. And when you get kidnapped, then you can go into the whole thing of, like, oh shoot, I got kidnapped, I need to get my guild to, like, save me and stuff like that. That was pretty cool. I never got to experience that because I was never part of any, like, guilds in, like, what, the 4 or 5 hours I played this game. But yeah, no, that was pretty cool to know that was actually a thing. And for that to basically be a thing way back then, I think this game came out in, like, what? Age of Wushu came out in, like Age of Wushu. Age of Wushu came out in, like, oh yeah, like 10 years ago. Like, literally 10 years ago. Yeah, that's, yeah, 10 years ago, I found these kind of systems really, like, unique compared to other MMOs back in the day. Of course, there are probably MMOs that did offer the same kind of systems that Age of Wushu was, like, offering, but I never found them. This was one of the first ones that I've actually found with, like, a criminal system and, like, the player offline systems that they had. Now, the problems I had with Age of Wushu is that the combat is really deep. Like, it's really deep and really stylish, like I said in the likes here. Or at least that's how I interpreted it as. But the problem with the combat system is that it was just way too complicated for me to understand. Because I think in the game, like, you can gather so many like skills, like, to fill out so many, like, bars, like, in the game, and, like, there are certain skills that you have to use to combo into other skills. There's actually, like, a tab target combo system. Well, there's a combo system in this tab target, like, what is essentially like a movement heavy, like, tab target game. And eventually it'll end up with my other dislike here, where the UI is outrageously cluttered. Like, let me see if I can find, like, let me see if I can find, like, a picture here with, like, the PC version of Age of Wushu, where, like, you'll see an endgame player's, like, UI. Age of Wushu PC. Let's see. Like, I saw some endgame, like, gameplay of Age of Wushu, and the amount of shit that they had on their screen was just so overwhelming that I was just like, God, this just reminds me of like WoW if you like slam like 5 plugins like into 5 UI plugins into like your game. That's basically what it reminded me of, and to me that's just unappealing for me. Like, I mean, here is one example. Like, let me see if I can just open this here. No, not that one, not that one. Image in new tab, and can I just zoom in on this? Okay, it's kind of blurry to see, but this is just like, you're just starting out, and this is already how the UI looks like. It looks pretty standard, yes, but for me, if a UI starts off like this, where you have like, okay, you have 2 bars here, but since you're just starting out, you're definitely going to have even more bars like stacked up on each other like that, probably like a bar on the side, a bar on the left, maybe even doubled up on both ends. You have like all these like tabs down here, probably to tell you, hey, this is the daily that you gotta do, or hey, this is how your guild is doing, this is the community tab and stuff like that. Here's your map up in the corner and stuff like that. Here's the chat with all like the RMT bots, and eventually it'll just end up so cluttered once you get to like end game that just doesn't look appealing to me. So if a game already starts off with this kind of UI, man, that's kind of a hard sell for me. I really want to look at an end game player's like UI, but you kind of get where I'm going at for here. While I like the aesthetic of Age of Wushu, oh, here we go. Look at this here. Yeah, God damn it, why is this guy's name Mr. Cocky? Okay, oh god, no, but basically, this is what the UI will look like in Age of Wushu once you get to, like, some form of endgame. I think this is PvP. Yeah, this is the PvP in the game, I think. Yeah, I think they're fighting other players, definitely. This is PvP. But you can see here, like, hey, there's your character, there's your parties, there's all, like, the buff icons. Here is the character you're targeting. Like, this just reminds me of just WoW. Like, at a certain point in WoW's history, this just reminds me of, like, WoW if you, like, slam, like 3 or, like, 4 plugins into your UI or something like that. Yeah, it doesn't look appealing to me. This is just too many things for me to keep track of, and I think I'm pretty much done with playing, like, MMOs that, like, have this much stuff to keep track of in the UI. So that's one of the main reasons why I'm not going back to Age of Wushu. I've already decided that I'm not going back to Age of Wushu. Definitely not. Even though it is still active, Age of Wushu is just not a thing for me because of just... There are systems in the game that are cool, but there are a lot of things just that you would have to, like, deal with normally that are just outdated. So yeah, that's Age of Wushu. I would give, for me, that is an X. Nope. Now going to ArcAge, on the other hand. Alright. Funnily enough, I don't have much to say about ArcAge. I think the only things I know about ArcAge is its PvP, its town and housing system, and its class system. As I said right here, one of my coworkers at work convinced me to try out this game, so this was recently. This is Unchained version, yeah. Unchained version, yeah. I have to make that clear. This is ArcAge Unchained. And I played for like 6.3 hours according to Steam. And I have very like limited likes and dislikes because that's basically all I encountered with that game that stood out to me. Aside from the class system, which I did say earlier was like, you don't have really like a class that you pick, you have a skill set that you pick. You have 3 skill sets that you pick over the course of your leveling process, and the combination of those 3 determines your class, which is really unique because let me see ArcAge. Right here, like the classes here, well, here's basically every kind of like class combination you can do in the game, and each one has its own like name. There are a lot of classes, quote unquote, in the game, but it's mostly like a combination of skill sets here. Got the skill sets such as archery, oromancy, battle rage, and defense. I'm guessing archery is ranged, oromancy is like magic, battle rage is I think that's like DPS, I guess, physical DPS then, and then there's like tanking. But then you also got like malediction, occultism, shadow play, songcraft, a lot of these other like skill sets. There's like there are 12 of them. Yep. And then yeah, 220 unique classes depending on your combination of skill sets. That is an insane amount of customizability, and that's really cool. To me, that's really cool. But one of my problems is that I don't feel like Return to Black Desert Online. Yeah, I mean, actually, we'll get into like BDO once I get back down to once I get down to it here. Like, I think BDO is right after I talk about my experience with Atlantica Online. BDO I do like, but there are certain things about the game where it's like I'm kind of hesitant about coming back to it. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So the thing about like when did I quit? Oh, I quit BDO. I actually quit playing like BDO like I think last year. Yeah, last year I quit playing BDO. And I didn't quit because, like, I had severe problems with the game. I quit because, well, I mean, I had another game to play with, like, friends, and that basically took up our time, like, for, like, several months after that. And I haven't come back since. Yeah. But, well, aside from that instance, the other times that I did try it in the past, something just wasn't clicking with me there. But yeah, like I said, I'm definitely gonna get into that once I'm done with ArcAge. Well, I mean, Atlantica Online afterward from that, but I'm just gonna say, like, I really don't have much else to say about ArcAge. I mean, nothing really stood out to me aside from the class system, and what I didn't like about ArcAge was that there was apparently a limited and faction-based race selection for, like, ArcAge. So, I don't know, I didn't like that about ArcAge. I mean, I guess they did that as a balancing factor, but then there was also a faction-based active character limit for each server, and I was like, okay, I don't know about that either, man. I don't know what your server capacities are, but, apparently, like, for the time of, like, Unchained's release, that didn't really put a good taste in my mouth, because I ended up at like one of the lower populated servers, which then got like rolled back into like one of the bigger servers. So yeah, not a really good experience for me. But then again, I only played for like 6.3 hours, so what can you say, right? Wait, does that say you only had 10 hours of playtime? Yeah, see, the thing about this is that like I didn't really like play much of like Black Desert. I had 10 hours of playtime, but that's between, like, console and, like, PC, and, like, I didn't really, like, have, like I said, there are very few games where I actually spent, like, I think, like, 100 hours or more in. Black Desert was one of the games where I actually thought I was going to play more than that, but the only reason I had like 10 hours was basically through a combination of factors such as like, all right, started playing it, and then some of my friends, like, they found a game like for like us to play like that wasn't Black Desert, so I took a break from Black Desert to play that with them for like several months. And then like the very first time I played Black Desert, I tried it on console, like, and well, I don't think you should play Black Desert on, like, console, at the very least, from what I experienced playing console and then PC from the little I've played, because 10 hours in terms of MMOs is not a lot of time. But to me, in terms of just, like an initial experience, I definitely I would just play on like PC, you know. Okay, you play games in general on a casual level. I play, so you're right about that, but like I said, there are MMOs where I've played like literally like maybe 500 hours or more. Like I think I played like PSO2, like Phantasy Star Online 2. I played, I think, throughout its entire life with both JP and English versions of the game. I played Phantasy Star Online 2 specifically for like I think almost 1,000 hours. So yeah. If an MMO clicks with me, it somehow clicks with me. And unfortunately, Black Desert somehow didn't click with me, but also had other factors that were out of, like... Well, I wouldn't say they were out of my control. It was just other factors that drew me, like, away from the game. But yeah, that's Black Desert. But as for the specifics, oh yeah, for the specifics of Black Desert, this is where I basically stopped in, like, my notes here, because what I tried to do before this stream was try to like jot down like, all right, these are miscellaneous notes here, these are my likes and dislikes with each game. And unfortunately, because of how many MMOs I have on this list here, like, you see all this, like, look at all this shit. That's just insane. That's just insane. But then again, I've been gaming for like literally almost my entire life, so I'm not surprised I tried out this many MMOs. But yeah, I think once I get to Black Desert here on the list, I'm gonna essentially end up just like making my notes just from like my raw memories of my experience with the game. And I think that's actually like a pretty valid thing. I think that's actually like a pretty valid thing to do, now that I think about it more, because, I mean, here's the thing, you could, I think, how do I explain this? I think there's value in trying to recall your raw experience with with a game, even if you may not necessarily understand like how a certain system in the game works. It's basically like what an MMO's first impression on you is probably like really valuable in my opinion. So for me, that's I think it would be fine if I just recall like my first-hand experience, like the initial like experience I had with like an MMO. It's even though I didn't understand much of it at the time, because it's like, all right, even though I may interpret the class system, for example, as this, if I misinterpret it in a way where I basically like, oh yeah, no, I can continue playing this game, I like this class system, and then I mean I play more and then I realize how it really works, it still drew me in the beginning, right? In general, when buying a game, do you do research on it first, or do you go, this looks cool, and then go in blind? It's actually like, it's 50-50 actually. Some MMOs and some games in general, I go in blind, but if I know that there's like an MMO or like a game that just has like very complicated systems in it, I do my research on those first, to the best of my ability. But even so, when I do that, some things you really don't understand unless you actually like start playing the game, right? Because say for example like Arcage's like skill set class system, I don't think like any sort of like research is gonna be like enough for me. Well, I don't think any preemptive research like is gonna be enough for me to truly understand like the class system like in that game unless I actually start playing the game. So yes, I do research some games before I start going into them, but it only goes so far for me. But yeah, to re-rail this back into like the list here, the next game after Arcage, because I really didn't have much to say about it, Even even though I had a lot more to say about Age of Wushu with less playtime than I did with Arcade. That's really interesting, huh? So Atlantica Online, like Atlantica on, whoop, ooh, thanks Meme Lord for the follow. How y'all doing tonight? Well, tonight. Oh, how y'all doing this noon? It's noon over in the West Coast. But yeah, how y'all doing? Did suggest a new MMO for me. I have no clue. Wait, oh, suggest a new MMO for me. What was that MMO supposed to be? Assuming those like asterisks are supposed to be the the MMO title. I don't know if that was like an auto mod issue here or not, but yeah. Surely it's not another Hatsune Miku Rickroll, is it? Ah. If it was that, then yeah, I'm not gonna do. I don't think I'm gonna get juked by that, right? Some of the benefits of not having desktop audio up, so I can bring up the link in another screen. Oh, you seen him elsewhere today? If people are trying to juke me on like certain things, yeah. I mean, I've been on the internet like long enough to be like weary of like certain links. I mean, that's why like in my channel I don't really like allow links. But I mean, yeah. I think that's a normal thing people like should do if they don't want to deal with like, oh, is this link safe or not? Yeah, I just basically like turn off links for like chatters, you know. Yeah, it's, I don't know, just a thing with me. You know, just to be safe. But anyway, just to be safe, even though like some links can just be like, haha, joke, harmless, right? Yeah. Yeah, but anyway, re-railing this back into the conversation here. Atlantica Online, I'm just gonna like go through each one of these bullet points. At the time of when I tried Atlantica Online, I basically wanted to play a game with like a different combat system compared to the MMOs, compared to the other MMOs I played at the time. Atlantica Online jumped out to me because, one, I saw it, I mean, in a top 10 MMOs for X reason vid back in the day, because man, even back in the day, I think Atlantica came out in like, I think pre-2010 or something, like in the 2000s. But they still had videos for like this. They still had videos like titled like this. So yeah, this has been a long-standing thing. But yeah, I saw Atlantica Online in one of these videos, and I saw that Atlantica Online had had an active turn-based combat system with like units on like a grid or something. You feel like MMORPG 50 hours sort of what's required to give them a fair chance? Yeah, no, like, if you're trying, in my opinion, if you're trying to give like a fair like shot like at like an MMO, like, while basically trying to understand all of its like systems and all that, like, you really, like, 9 hours is not enough, right? The only thing you can really get from like what, like a couple of hours in is that initial pull. Does it initially pull you? Because for me, when I'm like, see, for me, all of these bullet points here are basically based on like my just raw experience with like the first couple of hours. Because for me, I think the like initial first impressions is pretty important to me. If an MMO does not like pull me in somehow within those first few hours, then like, I mean, to me it doesn't matter like how good like how good it ends up actually being. It still didn't like pull me in. So I mean, it's just things like that are just based on like a person to person like thing, right? Also, you feel like MMO is something you play with friends rather than go in with no friends? Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Like, if you're trying to go, like, actually, like, if you're trying to actually, like, play an MMO to get the true, like, experience of it, you have to be playing with, like, I would say, like, it's required to just, like, or strongly recommended to be playing with, like, friends or, like like making friends online, like like in the MMO itself, joining a guild, like being part of the community and stuff like that. See, how I play MMOs is really different from like how, like what normally people would say, like, all right, in order to get the full MMO experience, you have to definitely play it this way. Me, I basically like existing in the ecosystem of an MMO. I like existing in it. As for interacting with the community and stuff like that, that's kind of been like a big difficulty for me when it comes to like MMOs, because it's like, I mean, it's a crapshoot. It's a crapshoot, and for a lot of these MMOs, I really only had so much time in the day, and I think I just wanted to play like the game part of like the MMO. Yeah, I really just wanted to play the game part of the MMO, so I really didn't have like really any drive to interact with like the community, but I liked existing in the ecosystem, you know? Also, you don't have to play with friends, but I think starting with friends is important, even if they are existing players and you're new. Oh yeah, no, definitely. That's definitely one of the things that, let's just say Final Fantasy XIV, for example. One of my friends brought me in to Final Fantasy XIV, and I played with them for like quite a bit in it, even though they were like an end game like raider, like hardcore raider. Like they still found the time to play with me, and that basically helped me like get acclimated to Final Fantasy XIV. However, despite me having so many hours in Final Fantasy XIV, I ended up dropping the game cold turkey, because like there are certain aspects of the game which I just ended up just saying like, yeah, I can't deal with this anymore. I don't like this part of the game. This core part of the game I don't like, and it's really like I can't really continue on from this. So we can actually get into that. How many more MMOs do I have to like get through here? Well, that's a lot. I'm just gonna say, I don't think I'm gonna get to every single bullet point here, but I don't think I'm gonna get to every single MMO here. So I think at a certain point, if I know that time is gonna be like really like short for me, I'm just gonna try to like skip through some of these, or like try to condense my experience to like, you know, just like maybe like a couple of points here and there, you know. But the thing about like Final Fantasy XIV, like even though I actually did have a pretty great community experience in that game, the one thing about Final Fantasy XIV that like I did not end up liking, despite the hundreds of hours I put into the game, is the combat system. To me, the combat system is such like a core part of like, oh man, I gotta like the combat system like to a certain degree in order for me to keep playing. Like I played up to like Heavensward, but then at a certain point, like to me, I felt like Final Fantasy XIV's combat system was so like, you know, to me it felt so on rails that I just didn't find enjoyment in it like anymore. Yeah. And that's one of the main reasons why I dropped like the game, because there was only one class in Final Fantasy XIV where I actually felt like, oh yeah, I'm pressing a lot of buttons with this class and it doesn't feel as on rails as like certain other classes, and that's Summoner. Summoner in Heavensward. Summoner in Heavensward, like, because you're trying to micromanage a pet too, like with their trying to determine like the pet's positioning and like in like a fight or something like that, like doing that, having to manage their bar on top of like your own rotation and stuff like that, that was really fun, like for me. What game in general do you have the most hours on? Oh yeah, okay, so I think the game I actually have the most hours in, let's see. I'm gonna look through all of these. Let's see. Oh, I forgot. It's Final Fantasy 14, not 13. But nope, not Final Fantasy 14. Dungeon Fighter Online might be one of them, but I think I know for I'm pretty sure it's Phantasy Star Online 2. Phantasy Star Online 2 was the MMO that I have that I I'm pretty sure I have the most hours in, and that's basically combining my time playing the Japanese version of the game that released in like I think 2011 or like 2012. I hopped on and off it throughout its entire lifespan, and then I also spent like several hundred hours in the global version that came out like a couple years ago, which they then transitioned into NGS. Oh, question wasn't limited to MMOs. Oh, okay, well, okay, so funnily enough, even if the question wasn't limited to MMOs, it would still be Phantasy Star Online 2. Yeah, it would absolutely still be Phantasy Star Online 2. Yeah, I'm trying to think about, okay, what other games on this list, like, cause to me, a lot of my gaming playtime is actually spent in MMOs. So, like, single player games, like console games and stuff like that, I don't think I've ever had a game where I broke like 400 or 500 hours on like a console game. Yeah, for Phantasy Star Online 2, encompassing the Japanese version of the game, and the global version of the game, I think I had to have a combined like over like 1,000 hours into the game. 1,000 hours. Yeah. And I will say, is Phantasy Star Online 2 like a great game? Not necessarily. I wouldn't say it's a great game necessarily. There are definitely a lot of things it didn't do right, but I think the things that really like made me continue playing Phantasy Star Online 2 was like I found the combat to be very satisfying, definitely very satisfying to play, and I think for me, I have like a certain nostalgia with Phantasy Star Online because I'm just gonna come out and say it. The series of Phantasy Star Online, that series specifically, is in my like I think top like 3 favorite game series of all time. Would you say you got into gaming in the last 10 years? Actually, I started gaming since I was 3. I started gaming since I was 3 years old, and I think I'm like, what, 27 right now, so yeah, I've been gaming for most of my life. Yeah. I've been gaming for like most of my life, and yeah, that's yeah, exactly. Yeah, I remember like the first video game I actually played was Super Mario World on the SNES. Like at 3 years old, like in my parents' apartment, playing Super Mario World on the SNES. That was my very first video game, and I don't remember jackass about it. Your first was Fable 1 on the Xbox. Yo, Fable 1 on the Xbox, like, okay, Fable 1 was one of those games that I never got a chance to play, but I played its sequel. Even though people basically tell me that, you know, no, Fable 1 is definitely better than Fable 2 and stuff like that. I'm like, okay, I mean, I'll believe you. You started gaming at 7, wow. You're 22 now? Yeah, that's a... Yeah, I'd say you've been gaming for basically most of your life. Yeah, no, 7 is around how I would think the normal age of like kids back then would like start like gaming. Yeah. Me, I just started really early somehow, and yeah, no, gaming has definitely been a big part of my life, and I don't think that I'm ever going to like stop until literally I get arthritis in like my hands so severely that I can't grip a controller anymore. Like, I don't think I'm ever going to like stop gaming. Like, I'll be like in my late 60s and I'm still probably going to be playing like whatever kind of MMOs are like out there like at the time, if gaming is even still a thing at the time. But yeah, I don't think I'm ever going to stop. So yeah. Man. But yeah, no, speaking of like what games are y'all into right now? Because this is specifically like me talking about like MMOs, but you plan to drop your hours down to your level when I'm like 26 and probably full stop when I'd like your 30. See, the funny thing is like I know why you say that that you plan to drop your hours down to like my to my level. The funny thing is that yeah, I don't think I personally like stopped like cut down on like my gaming hours that much compared to like back then when I was when I was a wee lad. I just started playing like more console games and stuff like that, you know. And to your point, stopping when you're like 30, I think in terms of just like keeping up with like, you know, keeping things like varied in your life. I mean, I don't begrudge people to like if they want to feel like they need to stop gaming at like at a certain age. Like, see, I don't mind that. Yeah, you're probably doing a smart thing there, cause honestly, you got 32,000 hours on video. Yeah. Holy God. I don't think that I could ever. I don't think I could ever like even imagine playing a game for that long. But if it's not all active. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Okay. So AFK then. Gotcha. So I'm assuming you are one of the AFK fishers, right? You're one of the AFK fishermen, right? Man, before I started playing BDO, like there were people like I was part of a Discord server like back then, and then a good chunk of like the people in that Discord server were playing BDO, and all they would just talk about is like AFKing and like BDO. Oh, you're an EXP grinder? You know, that works too. Yeah. Yeah, no, basically, like, the people in that Discord server would, like, talk about, like, just AFKing and, like, BDO. So, I mean, AFKing, if that counts towards the game time, that is a good way to bloat that game time. Yeah. Now, in terms of active hours, how much do you think, like, how many hours do you think you would have in terms of active game time in the game? You're rank 1 for your class, though. That's actually really impressive. What class would that be? Now, is that, like, for, like, the server, or the server that you're on, or, like, what? Probably, like, 12k active? Yeah, no, even with... Oh, you're a rank 1 Musa. I'm just gonna say... No, the world. Ooh. Wow, that's really impressive. Yeah, no, with 12k, like, hours, I mean... I would be surprised if like somebody wasn't like rank 1 like by that point, you know. Well, only in level though, not in gear or skill. Oh, gotcha. So okay, so is leveling in BDO like you could just keep infinitely like leveling in certain aspects, or is there I'm assuming by how you're talking about it there's like no cap, right? Because if you say your highest level like Musa like in the world, that to me tells me that is there like a capped like leveling or stuff like that, or is it like you reach like the standard cap and then you just have like just XP like you gain out? Technically the max level is 99, but there are multiple soft caps. Okay, so it's like that. I gotcha. Okay, yeah, no, but yeah, if you're like the rank 1 Musa like in the world in terms of level, like congrats on that. I would honestly, with 12k hours, yeah, I shouldn't be surprised, but you level 66, 57%. See, I don't know enough about BDO to like contextualize that, but I mean, hey, there are some games that are just like that just click with people, and hell, there are some people that have spent like probably that amount of time like playing Skyrim or something, and that isn't even an MMO, you know. You hit level 66 February 2021. Oh wow. Oh dang. Oh, I understand. Okay, I'm starting to understand how like the leveling system works now. Okay, I get it. I'm getting it. Gotcha. 66 is the final soft cap. Okay, 66 is the final soft cap, and then like from that point everything just slows to like a crawl in terms of just like, oh, this is the amount of EXP you need to level to like 67 and stuff like that. That's what you're talking about. Okay, if it's like that, then I get it. I totally get it. But yeah. Yeah, like I said, the highest level player in the world is 67. Ooh, wow. Yeah, you're just one level behind them then, huh? Impressive. That's really impressive. Man, I wonder what class like the highest player, like the highest level player in the world plays. Man. I mean, they probably play one of like the which I haven't even played. Okay, look. Let me tell you something. I haven't even played Black Desert a lot, but I'm actually not surprised that it's Witch. I'm actually not surprised that it's Witch. I mean, Witch was one of the first, like, I think Witch was one of the first initial classes for the game, right? So if somebody was playing since day one and they're at like 67, like 41%, like by what you're saying, like I'm not surprised. And plus, I'm assuming there are a lot of like players who play like Witch because it's like, hey, yeah, cute girl character. I'm gonna play that. This is dope and stuff like that. I understand that. But yeah. But hey, yeah. Which was in the launch class. Yep, there we go. Yeah, so I'm not surprised like the highest level player in the world has reached that cap using one of the base classes. I mean, what you think about it, it's like, yeah, it makes sense. Oh yeah, but anyway, like, okay, since we're on the topic of Black Desert Online, since we're on the topic of Black Desert Online, I'm just gonna like quickly like go through like my personal experience just with the 10 hours that I played, and this is just initial experience, not necessarily like my experience as in like, oh, I'm actually like a well-learned player about the game or stuff like that. This is just my like raw first impressions of the game. I like the character identity in that game when it comes to like classes, even though like some classes, I would say that in a game like that, there are definitely some classes that struggle a bit behind in terms of compared to others. But in terms of like what each class can do, how they fight, like their combos and like skill sets and everything, they're all for the most part like pretty unique. So I like that about it. I'm okay with games that have like hero-based classes. That's what I personally call it, where each class is its own, like, say, like character specific, like gender, like, or race, like that. Like, I'm completely fine with that as long as classes have a certain identity about them. I'm completely fine with that if they play fun also. That's the. You feel a BDO's only strong points as character creator, graphics, combat system, and never-ending progression can be a negative too. I think it basically like listed like the reasons I was basically going to give for Black Desert. Like, the character creator is incredible. At the time Black Desert released, I think it had the most in-depth character creator when it came to like MMOs. And that definitely showed. You can create some really unique creatures with that game. You can definitely create some really unique creatures with that character creator. The graphics are definitely like amazing. There were definitely people back then when the game released that were saying like, oh yeah, in terms of MMOs, Black Desert is the graphics benchmark for your PC to see if it can like run well, you know. In terms of MMOs, Black Desert was the Crysis of MMOs. If you know about the game Crysis back then was basically like the benchmark game for gamers to you know what Crysis is, yeah. But basically BDO served as that for MMO players back when it released. Yeah. So the graphics, amazing. Combat system, great. And like all the progression systems in the game in terms of like what you can do in terms of like professions and stuff like that. All like the do I call it slice of life or like daily skills things? I don't know how to really like like say what they're, I don't really know how to say what they're called, but basically like I guess the profession system in the game, where you can be like fishing, woodcutting, like stuff like that. The PvP in the game, like how it's how there can be like open like PvP and stuff like that. Like all that stuff is like very like appealing to me. Though I think the thing that I dislike about the game is because there was definitely a thing I didn't like about the game, but it's like a positive negative of the game is that it's a single player MMORPG. Bam, there you go. That's you definitely put into words like one of the things that like I didn't like about like Black Desert. It's and this is kind of hypocritical of me, because like I tend to play MMOs as if they're single player MMORPGs, but I think the thing about like Black Desert, can you play with others? Yes. Does it help? Not really. Okay, yeah. Basically, there isn't really a strong incentive to like, you know, play with other people, right? There's not really like a strong like benefit or incentive to like play with other people. I think how I would say, other than PvP, that is okay, yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I think like how I can like vocalize my negative about the game is that like yes, you can play it like single player, but the option of like the multiplayer options in that game, despite being an MMORPG, feel lacking in like benefit, you know? Like you can play the game like from what I understand, you can play the game like completely like single player and stuff like that. Only interacting with like the community, like if you need to and stuff like that. Then there's the whole thing about AFK like grinding in that game, and it's like I just don't personally like feel like I would like vibe well with that kind of thing like in Black Desert. When it comes to when it comes to games with like combat like Black Desert, I kind of would prefer to just like, you know, if I focus on just playing like the game like combat wise and stuff like that and progressing through the game that way, like I definitely would prefer that. So maybe something like Blade and Soul would have been better for me in that case compared to like Black Desert. Well, that's the thing, you can't. Oh. Okay. Well, if you say I can, then like I believe you. I mean, you're the guy that has like 12,000 active hours like in the game. So, I mean, hey, if you say I can, then hey, that's great. I don't know. I think another reason why it didn't like pull me in. Oh, I think one of the reasons I could come up with in terms of like initial impressions of why it didn't like pull me in, aside from the times that I had to be pulled away from the game because, you know, friends ended up playing like a different game that I like got roped into. I think it's basically that I think to get into the meat and potatoes of the game takes quite a bit of time, right? It's a fair bit better for new players than it was last year. Okay, that's good, cause like, yeah, like I was saying, like to get into like the meat and potatoes of the game, I feel like at the time when I was playing, it's like it's gonna take me a bit to get acclimated to like this game, like and its systems and stuff like that, you know? Yeah, very time consuming. Yeah, exactly. It's an easy game, but it's like very time consuming. Yeah. So I think that's one of the reasons why Black Desert really didn't hit for me, even though it had the right components to hit for me. Also, from what I heard, like, I think like the monetization in the game is kind of like pay to win, but like I said in my third bullet point up here, like I don't offer like a concrete opinion on a game's monetization system unless I actually have experienced it like firsthand myself. So that's just hearsay from me. You can't really catch up unless you're willing to put in 15 hours a week. Yeah, that's kind of like a thing too. Like that's a big, it's not pay to win. Okay, thank God. Oh man, thank God. But that thing you can spend a lot of money in the game. Right. I mean, I've come to expect that when it comes to MMOs like that, right? But the thing you said before about you can't really catch up unless you're willing to put in 15 hours a week, that's kind of like a big turnoff for me. Because I think one of the reasons why, like, say, I have so many hours in PSO2 was because with PSO2, it never felt like I was, like, beholden to, like, all right, in order to catch up with other players, I gotta go and put in this amount of, like, long hours, like, into each session of the game that I play. Yeah, with PSO2, I could literally just, like, drop in, like, do, like, my dailies and, like, just do other stuff that, like, I wanted to maybe farm for this. It really, like, it felt like for my own personal time, PSO2 definitely respected, like, my time, like, better to my standards compared to, like, other MMOs, and that's why I played that game the longest. In order for a game to be paid to win, winning needs to exist in the game. Yeah, you're not wrong about that. You're not wrong about that. But then again, that comes down to, like, a person's definition of, like, all right, what constitutes as winning for them? Is being, like, the best, like, PvPer, like, in the game constitutes as winning for them? Hey, it could be. I mean, shoot, look at Diablo Immortals, for example, the most blatant example of, like, play to win these days. It's like, hey, yeah, nah, just, like, put this much money into the game, and then once you go into, like, PvP, like, there's no balancing factor in PvP. You just go in there, like, with your, like, whaled, like gear and everything, and then just delete people. Boom, you're now just the best PvPer. Like, nothing's behind a paywall, but you can gamble in the game. Yeah, see, there we go. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah, but anyway, that's Black Desert for me. It didn't pull me in somehow, like, compared to, like, other games, but I can understand why so many people put so many hours into that game. Like, I have some understanding of why it's so good, and you know what? I can respect that. It just didn't end up being for me for, like, a myriad of reasons. Now, let's see. Of these 3 games here, I think I have the most to say about, like, Destiny 2. Dragon's Nest and Conqueror's Blade, both of them, I only played for, like, the minimum amount of hours. Well, actually, Conqueror's Blade, I really only played for 3 hours, like, at most. And just initial impressions of the game are that, like, I could see myself coming back to this, but I think I'm just not really all for, like, the strategy aspect of the game because I'm not really a big strategy player. But, I mean, the combat is actually much better than I thought it was going to be in terms of, like, how I thought the combat was going to be, like, for it being a strategy game. But, I mean, other than that, I feel like it's unique enough for me to possibly, like, return to it. So, this one is, like, a maybe for me, but it's not a hard set maybe. Actually, yeah. Actually, can I do this? Atlantica Online, I don't think I'm gonna come back to, because the game is just too dated for, like, for me. Arc Age, I'm not gonna come back to. That's a flub for me. Age of Wushu, like, to this day, no one is maxed in BDO. Yeah, I mean, with, like, the kind of, like, EXP halt that getting to, like, 66 entails, yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm really not surprised. Look, I'm not surprised if going from, like, 90 to, like, 99 takes, like, 50 quintillion experience or something. I don't know how EXP is crunched in that game, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's stuff like that. But, like, BDO, I think it's, I would say it's, maybe. Like, the door is still open for BDO, but it's a maybe. Oh, 66 to 67 is the same as 98 to 99. Oh, Lord. Oh, so that's how they crunch their EXP like that. God. So, basically, after reaching, like, the 66 soft cap, basically, it's like leveling to 98 to 99 over and over and over until you hit 99, right? Yeah, I don't know about that. Hey, it gives people something to grind for. I mean, that just reminds me of, like, how the level rankings are, like, parsed out in, like, old school RuneScape. which is part of this list, which definitely is part of this list. But yeah, Black Desert, yeah, that's a maybe. Conqueror's Blade, that's actually a maybe plus, because I'm still interested in just getting deeper into that game. Dragon's Nest, here's the thing about Dragon's Nest. So I played Dragon's Nest, let's see, in terms of estimated time. Let's see. Here, let me go put the estimated time before I look at that. Let's see. Also, there's no real upside to going higher than 62 other than leaderboards and flexing. Yeah, I figured. I figured that there wasn't. And some people just, like, level, like, further than 62, just, like, I mean, some people just level, like, above that, probably, like, and they don't even, like, notice it. They just do their grind, and then just, like, oh, wow, I actually leveled past, like, 62. That's incredible. Okay, time to keep grinding, right? But yeah, Dragon's Nest, I think I played for, like, 15 hours, estimated. All I can say about the game is that I don't really have many, like, I barely have fond memories of that game. Well, I shouldn't say fond memories, just memories in general about Dragon's Nest. So, just to really just, like, bullet point Dragon's Nest, it really didn't stand out to me compared to, like, other games, well, other MMOs at the time. I only played it because one of my family friends convinced me to play it, and I played it for, like, 15 hours, and I was like, yep, this is a game. What is my ideal MMORPG? Alright, so, my ideal MMORPG. That has been the question that I've been mulling about ever since I started playing MMORPGs. Honestly. Because there are certain systems in other MMORPGs that I would like in, like, my... Well, I like in my, like, ideal MMORPG. So, I think... listing off, like, reasons here, my ideal MMORPG would actually be not open world. I don't want an open world MMORPG. The reason why is because I think a lot of open world MMORPG, well, right, no, exactly. I can definitely list reasons, things that I like about all the MMORPGs that I played, though. So, I definitely do have, like things that I know for sure that I like about, like, certain MMORPGs over others. So, even though I don't really know 100% what I want, I can say stuff like, okay, I definitely... So, a phone game MMORPG, then? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. I don't like mobage. So, mobile games, I've sworn off of, because, like, for a myriad of different reasons. But you know, for the short and skinny of it, I don't intend to play, like, mobile games. I haven't played, like, mobile games ever since, like Fire Emblem, like, Heroes, mind you. So, mobile games are definitely not in the books for me. But in terms of, like, MMO, like, RPGs, like, say, playing on the PC, like, okay, that's one aspect, too. They gotta be on, like, the PC. A second thing, like, going back to, like, the open world thing, I don't like it to be open world because there are other games, like, there are a lot of MMORPGs where the open world is not really well developed. There's a lot of dead space in, like, the open world, and a lot of MMORPGs are guilty of that. One of them being Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis, for example. That open world, there's not really much to do. The open world in that game is there for the sake of it. Wait, okay, so what I specifically don't like about phone games is, well, I think the biggest reason is because I just don't like gaming on a phone. That's basically the main the most main reason why I don't like phone games. I just don't like gaming on, like, a phone. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel good to me. That's just a personal thing. Another reason why I don't like phone games is because the amount of like mobile games that have come out that were basically like that have like harmful like monetization models and like pay to win aspects and stuff like that, like just like a lot of those that have come out recently just like soured me on like the whole like mobile gaming scene. It's hard to really like put into words, but there's not a lot of shining examples of like good like mobile games that have come out recently with pretty like fair like monetization models. Like Genshin Impact, like see Genshin Impact, like yeah, like you said, I can play it on PC. It's not strictly like on like mobile. I mean, it's good that you can play it on like mobile and then you can play it on PC and then like on console. But actually speaking of Genshin Impact specifically, like I'm not really too big on Genshin Impact either. Like it definitely wears its inspiration on its sleeve when it comes to like yeah, it being like inspired like partially by Breath of the Wild, and honestly I'm not really too big on Breath of the Wild. Mostly for like the same reasons as why I don't like open world in like MMOs. I typically don't like open world in MMOs. Nice example. Yeah, no. It's a fair example. Like absolutely. Yeah, it's a fair example. I'm not going to discount that. But yeah. And I think like I think one of the other things like I don't like about like the mobile like gaming scene is that I think I'm just too far behind on it, because every time I like try to look at, hey, what are like the mobile games that people are playing these days, and like every so often it's like games I've just like never heard of, and it's like the like the new hotness every time I like come back to it. It's like, hey, yeah, I remember see people are playing Honkai Impact, and it's like, all right, cool, maybe I'll check that out. And then later on I'm hearing my friends playing like, oh yeah, they're playing Punishing Gray Raven. It's like, okay, what happened to Honkai Impact? And then it's like let's see, after that they were playing like, oh wait, no, it was Dragalia Lost after Honkai. Then after that, they go to Punishing Gray Raven. Then after that, they have like, it basically keeps going on. Just like the mobile games industry like churns out like so many like games that basically do like catch people's attention, that I'm just like, man, I just feel like I'm just getting lag behind, right? There's 3 levels to mobile games. There's shit mobile games that most people think mobile games are. There's gacha games, and there's esports games. Yeah. Like the esports games, I'm fine with. I'm fine with. It's just like the gacha ones, and then like the shit garbage bin ones. It's that clutter like the mobile game stores. Like that kind of soured me on like the medium there. There are good examples of mobile games. It's just that a lot of it is just like cluttered with just like, you know, just. I'm not really too big on gacha games. I'm just gonna come out there. 4th level is paid games, but there's not many good ones. Yeah, see, a lot of the mobile games are free to play, quote unquote, and then like, you know, they have like gacha and stuff like that. I personally like, I personally would like to avoid that when it comes to like mobile games. If I ever do decide to actually play a mobile game, you know. Yeah. Like I said, I think the last mobile game that I personally played was Fire Emblem Heroes, and that was like in the very beginning of Fire Emblem Heroes, and then I just stopped. Because once I got into the gacha of like Fire Emblem Heroes, and I was like, nope, I already know where this is going to end up with me doing. I already know where this is going to end up, so I'm just not going to do it. I'm just going to stop. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing with me in mobile games. Yeah, if there's like a good mobile game that comes out, and like my friends roped me into it, like it was almost that case with Punishing Gray Raven, but then they fell off of that like recently too. Hey, even though I don't personally like mobile gaming, like I'm not going to like I guess I'm gonna say like I'm not gonna completely close out that door. It's just that it's very unlikely for me to like try one out due to just the state of like the mobile gaming like sphere right now. Yeah. You like COD? I think COD Mobile is probably top 3 COD games of all time. I didn't really expect that, but if what you say is true, then hey, I mean, shoot. I mean, I guess I'll believe you on that because I mean, I have no experience. I barely have experience with Call of Duty aside from like me playing those games when I was younger. But yeah, here's the thing about Call of Duty. I don't really like Call of Duty. I'm not really a big like when it comes to like competitive FPS, I'm not really like too big into that. But then again, when you say COD Mobile, I'm assuming like COD Mobile like probably has, it does have like a single player campaign and stuff like that. Has BR and zombies too. Oh yeah, okay, I get it, okay. But yeah, I'm not really like an FPS person, which is funny because of Destiny 2 here. Doesn't have a campaign. Okay, that's unfortunate, but I mean it has those other game modes there, so that at least there's that. But the funny thing is like I like how I say I'm not really too big into FPS, and yet I have Destiny 2 on here. Yeah, I just have Destiny on here for some reason because I have experience with like Destiny, but like it's basically Destiny 2. Like for some reason, despite me not really having an affinity for Destiny 2, well, no, not for Destiny 2, but for FPSs, I really like Destiny 2. And the reason why I like Destiny 2 is because of the way that the game like construes like their lore and how lighthearted with their lore that they are sometimes. That's one positive. Like Destiny 2 like a lot of the time doesn't take itself seriously, which is like fantastic. But it can, but those aspects of the lore can coexist with the more serious aspects of it. But in terms of gameplay, like, do I think Destiny 2 has the best gunplay in the world? No, I don't think so. But in terms of just like as an online game, like the itemization in the game, in terms of like farming for gear and what that gear does for your character, and like how you can like, if there is a certain piece of gear that you wanna like bring up in terms of like power level, you can actually like do that in the game. Like those systems, I'm actually fine with that. I'm actually fine with that. And to say something about the itemization too, like I like how like the exotics in the game basically have like their own lore and like identity. Cause like a lot of the exotics in like Destiny 2, a lot of like the special gear that you can get, they're definitely really unique. And that's one of the main aspects that I really liked about Destiny 2 is just farming for those exotics. The problem with farming for those exotics though, and those special like weapons and gear, it's just that a lot of the stuff you can get from like certain like sectors of the game just through RNG, and I know that basically constitutes like, oh yeah, well, it's RNG, so you gotta keep like farming this out until you get it, right? Until RNG blesses you. Did you ever play Lost Ark? Yes, I did play Lost Ark, though I didn't play it as much as I intended to. I didn't play Lost Ark as much as I intended to. One of the reasons why I didn't play Lost Ark as much as I wanted to is simply because it's one of those other things, one of the same reasons why I dropped off of like BDO. Like, one of my friends was like, hey, so you know Neo 2, right? I want to start playing Neo 2. And then me being like the expert Neo player in like the Discord that I'm in, I basically was like, oh man, I'm gonna teach you this game. So yeah, I played. The reason why I didn't play Lost Ark as much as I wanted to is because like I got roped into playing Neo 2 with like one of my friends who wanted to start playing. Yeah, that was a good time. But yeah, Lost Ark, I mean, I could probably say my piece on Lost Ark. I can actually see myself going back to Lost Ark. I can actually see myself going back to Lost Ark. And one of the reasons why is because I just feel like I want to actually get through like the leveling process first. I definitely want to get through the leveling process. I like the fact that each class has its very defined like identity. I played a Berserker, or whatever that kind of class is called in that game. I'm pretty sure it's Berserker. But yeah, I played a Berserker. That was really fun. I liked I think the Berserker build that I wanted to play was like that Berserker build where you're basically at like 10% health and you're just relying on like I think Life Leech or something to just like dish out like shit tons of damage or stuff like that. I don't know. But basically the kind of Berserker build I wanted to actually like go for was that one, where I play at like 10% health. And then it's like, oh man, you gotta really know the game in order to like not die. But I guess that class can dish out the damage, and I like that. I'm not really like too picky on like playing like physical or like magical classes, just as long as the class actually has like is fun to play and actually has unique opportunities for like certain like types of like play styles, you know. But yeah, what did I not like about Lost Ark? I can't really pinpoint something I didn't like about like Lost Ark. There are a lot of things that I liked, but in terms of dislikes, there's not really a strong like dislike that I had about like Lost Ark in terms of like a first impression. It was actually pretty fine. I could see myself like I said, like continuing playing that. It's just that at the time I just couldn't like. I just didn't play it for as long as I intended to because I got roped into something else. So Lost Ark, I'll just say that's like, it's pretty likely that I might come back to it, especially when that new class drops, you know, the one that's basically like Iron Man. Yeah. Let's see. What's another thing here? Oh, but yeah, my piece is on like Destiny 2. I like the itemization in that game. Like, the PvP I found enjoyable when I wasn't trying to like farm for basically trying to go for like one of those special like Crucible PvP weapons, those special ones they have to basically go like, hey, yeah, in order to get this weapon, complete this mission where you get like triple kills in one life, like if you kill 3 players in one life with like a grenade launcher or something like that. I don't like those. But I guess the PvP was like sort of enjoyable for me, aside from the numerous imbalances in there. But yeah, I like that. I actually got invested into the lore of Destiny 2. Like, the kind of farming that I did in Destiny 2 reminded me of the kind of farming that I did in like, say, like PSO games. I think Destiny 2, in terms of like its gameplay loop, definitely took a couple of pages out of that kind of like gameplay loop that Phantasy Star Online had. So yeah, I think you should give phone games another go, but play them on PC. Yeah. I mean, if they do come out for PC, hell, I'll give them a shot. I think, funnily enough, one of those games for me was about to be like Tower of Fantasy. I was about to give that a shot. But then I started looking into like the history of like Tower of Fantasy back in its mainland, and I'm like, oh man, I don't know about this one, man. I don't know about this one. But still, I'll still give like Tower of Fantasy. Oh, BlueStacks. Oh yeah, you're right. You're definitely right. BlueStacks does exist. Shoot. Yeah, you're right. BlueStacks does exist. Huh. Well, you know what? Hey. Checkmate there, right? I completely forgot about BlueStacks. Yeah. So maybe I will try out like something like Punishing Ray Raven via like, you know, phone emulator like that. Yeah, maybe I will. But the goal right now is to determine well, what game I want to return to in terms of like these MMOs. You play BDO Mobile too, and these days you play more mobile than PC. Has more content. Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, hey, I don't begrudge you for that. If you find it easier to pick up and play using mobile, then hey, that's fine. Get so much more funding than PC games do. Ah, man, you're right. You're absolutely right, though. Mobile games do get more funding than PC games do. And the thing is that mobile games can just be churned out at a faster rate than most like PC games. So yeah, you're definitely right about that. But anyway, yeah, I think I will yeah, utilizing BlueStacks, like more updates. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, I think utilizing BlueStacks, I could try to like get into some of these like mobile games. Yeah, I just gotta go and find the right one that visually appeals to me first. It might be Punishing Gray Raven, but we'll see. We'll see. I still need to go through like the list of mobile games that my friends in the Discord server that I'm in. I gotta see what games they have played. A big way to tell if mobile games any good is how big the download is. Right. That could be a good indicator, but another thing too is that that's not like a hard set rule. Cause I mean, shoot, there are huge games that are like complete like tosh garbage though. One of them being Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis, but hey, that's just me being a salty fan. I mean, I know it's not a mobile game, but like, shit. No, but in terms of just like mobile games, hey, if that is like a good indicator, then you know what? I'll try to go by that while shopping for like, while trying to shop around for like a mobile game for me to like try out, right? Yeah. But anyway, yeah, in terms of like Destiny 2, like I said, itemization, lore, I actually got invested into the lore. I like the farming of the game, surprisingly enough, even though it might be tedious. I like the characterizations of like, well, what little character we get for some of the characters in Destiny 2, I like those. Like, I like the setting too. The setting is nice. It's not my preferred setting, but hey, it's something I could deal with. And plus, it's not open world. It has hubs, and it also has instanced areas that aren't super huge, but they have their own like secret like areas within them, and they also have their own activities within them too. It's not huge, but it's like condensed a little bit, which is great. So for Destiny 2, it's definitely a plus right there. Which, to me, a plus means that it's very possible for me to return this. To return to it. If there is a game that I am definitely hard set on returning to, like, I'm just gonna say, I will put a big yes. But Destiny 2 is a very strong maybe, you know? Let's see. If it's low size, they'll most likely have a bunch of ads trying to get you to spend money. Ah, yeah. If it's under 2 gigabytes, most likely not worth your time. All right, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, I'll keep that in mind when shopping for like another mobile game for me to play. But yeah, but anyway, Destiny 2, very likely. Conqueror's Blade, sorta likely. Dragon's Nest, nope, definitely not. Dungeons and Dragons Online. This one is a doozy. I really like Dungeons and Dragons Online. Now, the reasons why I like Dungeons and Dragons Online is that it fits into like certain criteria that I want out of like my like MMOs. One, it has hub areas instead of like open world. Instead of it being open world, the hub areas each have their own entrances to each instance like dungeon in the game, and each one of those dungeons are actually very well crafted because Dungeons and Dragons Online obviously is based off of like Dungeons and Dragons. So if you have like a Dungeons and Dragons game and your dungeons are not like crafted to suit like, you know, the atmosphere that a tabletop game would like have you feel, then I would say that's a flub there. But Dungeons and Dragons Online does its dungeon crafting really well to the best that they could, because it's still a game. So you can't really transfer over like the pen and paper stuff completely over to DDO. But the way that they did it was really good. Let's see. What else is there? BDO Mobile's like 9 gigabytes, but the graphics aren't really worse in the PC version. Oh, well, impressive. Impressive that they managed to retain that for like the mobile version of the game. Oh, speaking of graphics though, yeah, no. Graphics is another thing I wanted to get to when it comes to like DDO here. DDO is dated. It is absolutely dated. The game came out in like 2006. So it's not gonna look good. It's not gonna look good to today's standards. But in my opinion, I'm completely okay with it. I'm completely okay with it looking like a 2006 like PC game, simply because like it has so much content in there that like so much like of that content is actually pretty unique as well, that it's I can basically gloss over just like how dated the game looks, because like the combat may not really be like the greatest thing in the world. It's based off of like a free moving like tab target system. Well, it's not even tab target. Well, yeah, no, it is tab target, I would say. But yeah, but it has like free movement and stuff like that. Even though it does have a dated combat system, like the graphics are dated, like and stuff like that. Like the fact of the matter is that just the leveling process in the game is pretty like open-ended, because when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons Online, like sure you have your tutorial island, but once you get off of that tutorial island and go into the main city and the main hub, it's like, all right, the world is your oyster. Go find like a quest or something. Like it'll lead you to like a dungeon, and you can go ahead and do that. The dungeon has its own narration, and it has its own like unique way of like say each dungeon plays out pretty like uniquely, even though a lot of them are from going to point A to point B. Like say for example you have like a dungeon where it's like, oh yeah, you go into, this is a short dungeon, you go into a warehouse, you're trying to basically like destroy like the illegal contraband of like these pirates that have holed up here, and it's basically pretty straightforward, right? But then in that dungeon you can also have like secret doors that if you don't have the right skill set for, you can't really find, so you lose out on that loot, compared to if you were playing like a rogue who can open those doors and stuff like that. And then like say you have like another dungeon where it's like another instance where it's like, oh yeah, so you have to defend like this like thing here, but yeah, you basically, it's just like a defense mission where it's like, oh yeah, you have like these little like lizard guys, like kobolds, just like swarming around the place, and you have to basically defend the statue within like a certain amount of time. And even in that one, it might have their own secret areas that you only have like so much time between waves to get to and stuff like that. Each dungeon in Dungeons & Dragons Online is pretty nicely crafted, especially compared to how questing was normally done in MMOs back then. And to this day, I still think I think in terms of like a streaming experience, it actually might be a pretty like decent streaming experience, you know? And by the way, Sri Lanki, thank you for the thanks for the follow. Sorry I keep like derailing from like, I keep hopping between like two conversations here. One for me like regarding like what I'm streaming here right now, and then like you talking about like, you know, trying to get down to the nitty-gritty about like, yeah, like okay, this is what you look for in like mobile gaming and stuff like that. My bad. To be honest, you don't think 2006 is really an excuse for looking bad like thing back then? I mean, to an extent, yeah, you're right. But I think for me, like graphics don't really hold like much weight for me past a certain point. Because if the game is good, like, I can excuse, like, a game not looking its greatest. Because here, for example, let me go look up, here's how DDO looks. Dungeons and Dragons Online. I should have been doing this. Here's how, like, DDO looks. Yeah, you see this? This is how the game looks. Like... See, it don't look great, right? I would say it doesn't look great. It looks dated. Yeah? Yeah, I think we can agree on that. It looks dated, especially for today's standards. Like, look at this stuff right here, right? Yeah. Don't look great, right? But the thing about, but like I said, I think the things that this game does well in terms of like crafting like the stories for like each dungeon instance, and how like a certain dungeon experience is going to be like probably like quite different compared to another. I think that has a lot of weight to it, and one of the reasons why like I could personally see myself coming back to this game like even more so than Destiny 2. And plus, I'm going to be trying to stream like some of these games as well. Oh, sorry about that. A little bit of a burp there. But I'm going to be trying to stream some of these games as well. So in terms of like a streaming experience, I don't think I'm going to be playing something like, say for example, going back to the list here, I don't think I would be streaming something like, say, what? Like Atlantica, or like Age of Wushu, or like Arc Age or something like that. I don't think I'd be doing that, because I don't know, for me, if an MMO has like good story elements attached to it, that's a really nice gateway for me to like commentate on it and actually like, you know, have actually a good like stream flow because of it. Yeah, and like I said, each dungeon here is like personally like, well, it is narrated as well. So there's actually a story with each one of these. It's not like my frontmost example of like an MMO that's a pretty good streaming experience. We'll get into that later. But for like such reasons, for like those reasons, I would say I think I will actually come back to this game specifically, because one of the things that works out for me too is that I have a lot of nostalgia for Dungeons and Dragons. Tabletop role-playing games are very big for me. So Dungeons and Dragons Online, I mean, that's just a natural, like, yeah, I definitely would come back to this one. And I played this, like, way back in the day. And I didn't really get that far in it, but I had a lot of hours in it, because I was just, like, mulling around in, like, every sort of, like, dungeon that I could in, like, the initial, like, hub area. That was a good time for me. I didn't have enough money to even buy, like, the adventure packs where you can buy like access to like more like a more diversified set of like dungeons as well. I didn't even have money at the time for that, but because I have money right now, I can do that. So hey, more content, right? Now let's see. Okay, I'm just going to like go down this list pretty quickly here, because I do notice that we are actually ending up at like 2 hours soon. Like, dang. Okay, I can probably extend this for like another half hour, but I'm gonna basically like shotgun each one of these. All right, so Dungeon Fighter Online, one of the MMOs I basically had a lot of playtime in. Not to the extent of PSO2, but close to it. I've played it since it was released in NA way back in the day, and one of the big things that I like about this game is the fact that it's very unique in that it is an MMO that's a side-scrolling beat-em-up. So the side-scrolling beat-em-up portion, like that differential factor in it is a really appealing thing for me. The problem with Dungeon Fighter Online, and one of the reasons why I'm saying that it's gonna be like a maybe for me, is because the one reason why, that same reason why I like Dungeon Fighter Online, that identity is slowly being lost because of the power creep in this game. In Dungeon Fighter Online, in the beginning, you actually had to be pretty careful in dungeons and actually know your classes, like combos and stuff like that, in order to actually get through them. Enemies were actually like not as squishy as they are right now. They actually had like quite a bit of health to them, and then you'd basically be playing like a side-scrolling beat 'em up. It still had the feeling of playing a side-scrolling beat 'em up while still being an MMO. These days, though, Dungeon Fighter Online, the power creep has gotten to the point where it's like, yeah, walk into a room, press a button, nuke it. Next room, walk into that room, press a button, nuke it. That's the leveling process of the game. And there are basically systems and events in the game that facilitate like speeding up that leveling process, because the devs want you to be at end game, where you're then starting to have to like juggle like all these like dungeons to like that you farm like daily and weekly. And that aspect of the game, that part of the game is something that just I personally don't like anymore. Like, I don't like the direction the game ended up like going towards. In terms of classes, that's basically the strongest thing where that could actually pull me back in. I like the classes of the game. One of the reasons why I like a lot of the classes in the game is because, like, I think this actually plays in with the story, with some of the stories and subplots that you encounter throughout the leveling process and in the game's history. I like how when you encounter certain like important NPCs in like dungeons and stuff like that, what Neopal did was that instead of having like a unique character model for like this like important character, what they did was actually they took one of the base classes and then slapped a unique skin, like slapped unique cosmetic gear on them, and then boom, there's your character. I like it when games do that. I like it when games are like MMOs do that for important story characters, because it makes me feel like I can actually attain that level of well, you know, character, right? It's feasible for me to like be like them, right? Because shoot, say I think for example, like say one of the grand masters of like, you know, one of the grand masters of swordplay in that game, let's say like Agonzo, for example, like he's the great sword master in that game. Like, when you encounter him in dungeons, he's basically just like a normal like Slayer class, but with a unique like cosmetic gear slapped on top of him. And I like that. It makes me feel like, hey, I can do the same things as he does, even though there are certain aspects of his character that just cheats. For the most part, you can do roughly the same kind of shit that he does in terms of like combat. So I like that. Yeah. So yeah. I think that's one of the main reasons just why I like Dungeon Fighter Online, since I just like the classes. A lot of the classes are pretty fun to play, but that has been slowly like going downhill for me because of just how like the leveling process is and just how the power creep is these days. I would like it if DFO had like a legacy server where they scaled everything back and then actually made like the normal leveling dungeons like kind of difficult again. But hey, that's just not the case right now. That's just not the case. So that's just a maybe for me. Elder Scrolls Online. I will admit, the only reason I want to go back into Elder Scrolls Online is to roleplay and level a Red Guard Stamina Mage. I want to roleplay a Red Guard Stamina Mage, and then call him and an Ansei or like a sword singer or something, because that's one of the only pieces of lore that I actually like in Elder Scrolls, is the fact that the Ansei, or like the Red Guard Ansei like type of people, are just essentially like Red Guard Jedi. I would just basically be playing Elder Scrolls Online just for that. But Elder Scrolls Online follows the same problem that I have with like certain games, certain MMOs, is that I just don't really like the open world. The open world in like Elder Scrolls Online, like, let me see. Let's see, Elder Scrolls Online. Yeah, let's look up the map for like Elder Scrolls Online. See, the map is huge, right? Look at this map for like Elder Scrolls Online. This is huge. Look at all these places that you can go to in Elder Scrolls Online. This is a huge map. My problem is that like for a lot of these places, I feel like there's a lot of dead space, you know? There's a lot of like dead space. Cause, for example, if you go into the Cyrodiil war zone, I've seen clips of like the Cyrodiil war zone, and it just, for some reason, it looked to me less detailed than Oblivion. That's probably crazy of me to say, but from what I watched of like the Cyrodiil war zone, it just didn't look to me like as like detailed as it was in like Oblivion. Maybe that was just a balancing factor for it being like a war zone, so you need to have more open areas for like the PvP to happen. But man, does it not look good to me in terms of like the open world. There's probably a lot of stuff to do in the open world. Yes, there's probably a lot of stuff to do in the open world. But yeah, it just visually to me and experiencing it, even in like the initial like introductory areas where each of your characters starts off in, it just doesn't really like appeal to me. Also, I hate the combat system. I was gonna say it, I just hate the Elder Scrolls Online combat system. I hate the fact that like I don't like the fact that like when it comes to optimized builds in the game, like you're basically forced to play like, hey, yeah, if you want to be a DPS, if you want to be stamina DPS, like in like PvE content, you have to dual wield. You can't do anything else other than that. Good luck on if you want to like play like a great sword stamina DPS, then yeah, tough shit. Go to PvP. Go to PvP where you can do that. Yeah, just like having like skills like locked to certain weapons is just not appealing to me. Having skills locked to certain weapons is just not appealing to me. And I think that's the main thing too, because for me, I mean, I like how you can like level different like skill sets in the game where it's like, all right, you're a mage, but you can level up like, say, like a great sword or something. You can level up like two-handed weaponry, right? You can level up like this certain school of magic, like what? I was about to say abjuration or like alteration and stuff like that. And there are other stuff that you can level in terms of skill sets that every character can also level too, and they come with their own skills that you can put on like your hotbars and stuff like that. I like that. But when it comes to the weapon specifically, I just want to be able to use like, in terms of just like optimization, like I don't like how like weapons are just have their own set of like skills that can only be used with that weapon. I want to be able to level up, like, say, the, like, proficiency in a weapon, but then transfer those skills over to, like, you know, playing, like, a greatsword or something like that. I want that. But, well, this game doesn't have that, and I don't want to be, like, a dual-wielding, like Redguard stamina mage. It just... aesthetically, I don't want that. But, you know what, in terms of PvP, I would be basically forced to play that. And I don't want that. So, yeah. That's one of the main reasons why I'm not really looking forward to coming back to this game. Also, I just don't think the combat is too appealing for me personally. So, that's about a maybe. Oh, L-Sword! Yeah, L-Sword. Yeah, L-Sword. I'm just gonna say it. Even though I did play L-Sword quite a bit, I don't really have, like, much memories about the game. It was just another game for me. Like, I like the fact that it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up with platforming, And then like the PvP in that game basically tried to do the whole Smash thing, but in terms of like an MMO. But other than that, I really didn't find a class that really appealed to me in that game, aside from, I think, one of the... What's his name again? What's his name? Elsword classes. His name was... Oh, what the hell? No, not Elsword. I didn't like playing Elsword. I liked playing, the only class I actually liked playing was Raven. And that would be, let's see. Is it Overtaker or Weapon Taker? Whatever kind of class that Raven had that focused on his, like, mechanical arm. I like playing that. Oh, I think it was Weapon Taker. Yeah, Weapon Taker. I played as a Weapon Taker. Yeah, that's the only really class I actually like playing. Oh, and then later on they released like Rose from like Dungeon Fighter Online. So the funny thing is I didn't really like playing as her because I felt like she played kind of awkwardly. Yeah, I feel like she played kind of awkwardly. So really Raven was the only character I liked playing, but I didn't really play that much after getting to like Weapon Taker. So because it really doesn't stand out to me in terms of just first impressions wise, I think that might be like a flub for me. Just for personal preference sake. So let's see, after that, oh, EverQuest. Yeah, no, EverQuest is a nope for me because the original EverQuest I tried out and I was like, immediately when I started playing it, I'm like, no, I'm sorry, this is too old for me. This game is way too old for me. I can't get around how games used to be before everything started to become like standardized across like across a lot of games. So EverQuest, you may be like one of the like godfathers of like the modern MMO scene, but I just can't play you. Final Fantasy 11, that is actually a maybe plus. That's actually a maybe plus. Why? Because I like the for the same reason I disliked EverQuest is one of the same reasons why I like Final Fantasy 11, because at the time this was right before WoW started getting in big. So you had MMOs that offered their own like unique systems, and I think Final Fantasy 11 had a system that was really like, it was really unique enough to me that I kind of found appeal in it. Also, I like the UI design of that game. It's very like old school, classic, like PC game. Oh, and the launcher for Final Fantasy 11, I think it might be my favorite launcher in terms of just PC games in general. Like the launcher for Final Fantasy 11, God, I love this aesthetic for the launcher. Why am I talking about the launcher wait, why the hell am I talking about the launcher? Like, I'm supposed to be talking about like, hey, this is why I want to play the game. But I'm just gonna say, like, this aesthetic right here for the launcher is just so appealing for me because it reminds me of just like Dreamcast / like PS2 era like UI, like in terms of like games. It's so appealing to me, like this kind of stuff, this kind of like look for like the UI, like all the rounded edges and everything, the colors that they use. Oh, look at this. Oh my god, this looks so good. Why am I really like deciding to play an MMO based on the look of its UI? I guess that's just me then. I guess that's just a me thing. But yeah, the look of like the launcher was really good and very appealing for me. Also, the ambient music in the launcher, really appealing for me too. But Final Fantasy 11 in general, it's not the best looking game, obviously. It is really dated. Definitely like really dated, right? But it's unique enough and close enough to like the standardization of MMOs that I can see myself playing this. It's not so like outdated and like just hard to get into, like say EverQuest, but it is close enough to the standardization while still maintaining its like own unique like systems and stuff like that, where I feel like I can definitely get behind playing this. Yeah. In terms of the story, I really don't care about the story, but from what I understand about the itemization in that game, it still kind of follows the same kind of itemization, like say Ragnarok Online, for example, where like your class is gonna want to farm a specific monster to get this item to get that benefits your class only, and then other classes just have no reason to farm in that area. I like that kind of itemization in games. That's another thing I'm trying to look for in an MMO. Not an open world like MMO, but I'm also trying to, and also having an itemization, having the itemization where it's like, hey, certain like gear really only applies to like certain classes, and these guys farm over here, and you guys have no reason to farm over here, which is kind of hard to do in a non-open world setting. But there are certain games where if it has to have an open world setting, I'd be okay with it if it also has this kind of itemization in it. Ragnarok Online is one of them, even though I don't think Ragnarok Online is the greatest game ever either. Ragnarok Online is I'll get into Ragnarok Online, but yeah, I like basically the itemization in Final Fantasy XI. I definitely find appeal in. The classes are pretty iconic. Well, the classes are pretty iconic. The races are pretty iconic. I think the main appeal for me here is just like the combat, and then just like the gameplay flow. Yeah. Oh, that's sad. Final Fantasy XI Mobile's canceled. Aw, that sucks. But oh well. Yeah. So Final Fantasy XI is an actual like can I do this? A maybe plus plus. A maybe plus plus. The only reason why I don't the only like gate for me to get over when it comes to trying out Final Fantasy XI for real is the fact that I actually have to, like, you know, pay a subscription in order to actually play the game. I know there's a free trial, but I think I used that up a while back. But Final Fantasy XI, for some reason, is still subscription based. So that's the only kind of thing that's preventing me from really saying, like, putting a big yes here. Yeah, just because of the subscription I have to pay. Now, Final Fantasy XIV, I've already made my point about this earlier. That is an X for me. I don't think I'm ever going to go back to Final Fantasy XIV because the combat is just not appealing for me anymore. Yep, combat's not appealing. It has an amazing story. It is literally, like, the best MMO on the market, like in terms of just, like, content, mechanically, just polish, funding, like, whatever have you. It's just that, to me, I just don't like the combat. And, that just basically, you know, that's a make or break for me in terms of this game. Oh yeah, Grand Fantasia. What's that game? No. Guild Wars 2. So, Guild Wars 2 is an interesting one for me because with Guild Wars 2, I actually played quite a bit of hours in it. I think in terms of just estimated time, I'd say I have put in, I think I put in about like 50 hours into it. I think I put in like 50 plus hours. That's enough time, I think, to have like a fair opinion on like the game, just not on a mechanical level. But Guild Wars 2, I'm just gonna immediately say that's a maybe plus. That's a maybe plus. Why is that a maybe plus? It's because I like the class system like in the game. It's definitely a system that I find more appealing than Elder Scrolls Online, even though they do have similar, like, you know, like combat systems. well, combat systems where it's like, hey, like depending on the weapon you have, yeah, you get a certain, yeah, these are the skills like you can use depending on the weapon you have equipped. Guild Wars 2 does that. And while I don't like that for ESO, I'm kind of okay with that for Guild Wars 2. I'm actually kind of okay with that for Guild Wars 2. In terms of lore, I couldn't give a toss about it. In terms of open world, I like the progression in Guild Wars 2 because it does horizontal leveled progression. I like that about Guild Wars 2. It's not like a case where it's like, oh yeah, you go from area to area to area to area as you like level up because this is just the next higher level area. Basically, wherever the story takes you, that area is going to be leveled to you, and the gear that you get is going to be leveled accordingly. It has horizontal progression, not vertical progression, but horizontal progression. No matter where you go, the gear will always be leveled to you. So there's no ways to be like cheeky where it's like, yeah, no, I'll just like try to get like this, I'll try to farm here just to get like up in levels compared to other compared to like other people. I'll have my friend like help me farm in this area. No, like you can actually hold your own in most areas of the game no matter where you go during the leveling process. Yep. Yeah, no, so that's one of the big things I like about Guild Wars 2. The problem here that I also have about Guild Wars 2 is I still don't like the itemization in that game because it's like there is horizontal progression in terms of like getting like your leveling gear, right? But the itemization is not so where it's like, all right, certain classes go farm this area to get this gear and stuff like that. It's not really super defined like that. Maybe it is like that, but I never encountered in my playtime with the game really like anything that tells me, yeah, there's a certain item you have to get for your character. You can only get it in this area with these leveled like mobs. Yeah, it doesn't have anything like that. It has nothing like that from what I've experienced. Because while progression is like horizontal when it comes to area, it's still vertical when it comes to just getting your next like set of gear, which I find unfortunate. So yeah, like I said, I want to have an MMO where the unique items that you get and farm for can also be like specific or like unique and mostly beneficial towards certain classes. So it kind of like segments like the farmers to like certain areas of like the game where it's like, hey, if you're like a ninja and you want to get this kodachi from this one enemy, you're gonna be farming in this area, and then all the people that'll be around you are just like other ninjas trying to like farm it. Because, you know, that's where you go to get this item because it's that beneficial to your character. I like that kind of thing. But yeah, another thing I liked about Guild Wars 2... What else did I like about Guild Wars 2? Dude, what else did I like about Guild Wars 2? Oh. What else did I like about this? Oh, also, I'm going to change my music because it's been going on for like 2 hours 20. Let's try this one. Yeah, let's go with this one. Yeah, that's better. All right, so yeah, Guild Wars 2. I think another thing I liked about it too was the fact that there are actually like a lot of like platforming in that game. And while I'm not a big fan of platforming specifically, I like the fact that part of its like uniqueness, part of Guild Wars 2's uniqueness comes from the fact that it has a lot of those like platforming puzzles in the game. Things to differentiate itself from like the cut and dry MMOs. In some cases I'm pretty much all for. This is one of them. I don't mind doing a platforming puzzle here and there. Now in terms of like lore, I really couldn't. Actually, I think I touched on this already. I really couldn't care too much about the lore in Guild Wars 2. I'm just gonna say I don't really care that much. Yeah, mostly it's like I found the combat pretty okay. I think I actually got one of the expansions and got one of the like expanded classes. I think for Guild Wars 2, in terms of classes, Guild Wars 2 classes. I played. Oh, can I go to the wiki? Thanks. Profession. One of the professions that I played. Wow. Let's see. I see. Huh. Okay, I see here. Okay, so for soldier professions, I think what I played was Revenant. Yeah, I think I like playing Revenant because of that, like, dual resource meter that they had. I found them pretty unique, and plus, they're the edgy class, and I kind of like, you know, edgy classes, so Revenant was probably going to be my main, but my main ended up being Elementalist because I was playing a Weaver. Yeah, the reason why I played a Weaver in that game is because I wanted something close enough to, like, playing, like, just, I was gonna say this, like, my favorite class in any MMO ever is Enhancement Shaman. Like, Enhancement Shaman is literally, like, I think my favorite class in any MMO ever. I just really like the lore of the class, the look of, like, I like the lore of the class, the look of the class, the abilities, the elemental warrior aspect of the class too. I'm a big fan of Enhancement Shaman in Classic, dropping down that Wind Fury totem and getting that double strike RNG and stuff like that. I like that. I really like Enhancement Shaman. And Weaver essentially was the one class that I felt like could basically mirror Enhancement Shaman. Now, was it squishy? Yes, very squishy. But I like the fact that it could just, like, you know, dual wield and then weave in, like, attacks. Yeah, I don't know. What it could do here is that it could combine elements into its attacks, into its physical attacks. That was really cool to me. Yeah. Man, I really like playing as, like, this class. I also like playing as Revenant too. But yeah, Guild Wars 2 is a likely. Guild Wars 2 is a likely. I don't think this game is going to be that great on from a streaming perspective though. That's why I'm only going to put it as a likely. Oh, I think for Final Fantasy 11 too. I don't think that would make it for a good streaming experience either, because it's like, okay, well, maybe there's a lot of story when it comes to Final Fantasy 11, so maybe that's good about it too. I don't know, I didn't really experience much of the story when it comes to Guild Wars 2. I mean, each area definitely had its own, like, quest lines and stuff like that, but in terms of just, like, overarching story, I didn't really pay attention to, so I can't really say it's gonna make for, like, a good streaming experience. Yeah, I don't think so. But yeah, we can move on from this. Guild Wars 2, okay, there's that. Lord of the Rings Online, that is a... nah, actually, no, that might be a no. The thing about Lord of the Rings Online, I did play it back in the day, yes. Way before. Probably around the same time as I was playing DDO. The problem with Lord of the Rings Online is that I just have no, like, affinity towards the Lord of the Rings IP. And I think Lord of the Rings Online is made for people who are big fans of Lord of the Rings. I don't know. There's just an inkling thought of mine. Just an inkling thought of mine. You know, an inkling thought of mine. Yeah, Lord of the Rings Online. Yeah. I'm not too big on Lord of the Rings. So, yeah, I don't think it'll work out for me. And plus, it takes a lot of cues from like World of Warcraft, I think. So, I mean, I can understand that at the time, a lot of people were definitely comparing it to WoW because that was justified, and I don't think the systems in the game really changed that much. However, there is a new update coming out that'll like unlock basically the once previously locked classes that you have to subscribe for. They're gonna be available for free to play players. So hey, nice. That's a little bit more incentive, but still, Lord of the Rings Online, not really too big into. So that's a no for me. Lost Ark, I already said. That's a maybe. Maple Story, that is a definite nope. That's a definite nope. Can't do that. Will not do that. I will say with my experience with Maple Story is that I know how the game was, but I still played it somehow. I still played it somehow. I didn't really get into all of like the auction housing and stuff like that. I really didn't like contribute to the game's economy in any sort of like fashion. The story I couldn't care less for. Like, it was there. It was just there for me. And a lot of the game is just basically mob farming and mob leveling and just like, you know, just leveling to each next area, and after that. That's why if I played Maple Story, I would go to like the classic servers. I mean like the legacy servers where like the main thing, well, funnily enough, even though I say I didn't like the leveling process in the game, I wouldn't mind going back to like the legacy servers and then just like playing the game like how it was meant to be played like classically. Just mindlessly grinding mobs. And even so, I don't think I could stomach that anymore. Maybe if I played Dual Blades. Like, Dual Blade was my main class. I love Dual Blade because, you know, dual wielding, and it's a ninja. I like that. I really like that. But aside from that, I think my experiences with Maple Story have been so, like, bland that I'm just like, why did I play this game for so long? It's literally just, like, turn off my mind, grind mobs, just delete rooms with Kaiser, which was the last class I think that I played. But yeah, I think that was basically like, yeah, that's basically my experience with Maple Story. I don't think I'm gonna come back to it. Monster Hunter Frontier. Why do I have this on here? I still play Monster Hunter Frontier, so I'm just like, yeah, no. I still play Monster Hunter Frontier through various means, but yeah, I still play Monster Hunter Frontier. Why is this on here? Yeah, anyway, Neverwinter. Hell no. As a Dungeons and Dragons game, Neverwinter is barely passable. I couldn't care more about the lore. I couldn't care any less about the lore of the game because, and also the combat is for me. I don't know why I played this for so long. Like, I think the estimated time that I played this game was, let's see, the estimated time I played this game, because I think I did stream this game way before in the past because I didn't have any money to, you know, buy any other games, so I played free. I think this game I put in about 90 hours. But was it an enjoyable 90 hours? Not really. It was just like, I'm going through the story of each area, but nothing really pulled me in, but I still played it. I mainly just played for the classes. One of the classes I actually managed to get to Cap for, which was Cap at the time, was Trickster Rogue. I think that ended up being my main class. The reason why I like playing as Trickster Rogue was because, so for Trickster Rogue, there was this like booster pack in the game at one point called the Trickster Rogue Booster Pack, and in that pack you could get a certain blue version of a cloak from a very prominent D&D literature character. He is a drow who dual wields, yes. And you also got from that pack like 2 weapons that you can use for transmog, and they were literally the weapons that such character used. So that trickster rogue, I ended up naming Dristu Erden, and that's the only character I got to cap for. Yeah, it's kind of a, yeah, not my proudest gaming moment, but it just says a lot about me that the only character I got to cap for was literally a Drist clone. I just, what is wrong with me? What the hell is wrong with me? Okay, look, okay, I shouldn't say that much because, look, Dristu Erden is one of my favorite, like, D&D literature characters, even though I don't read, like, the books at all. I just like him from, like, an aesthetic standpoint. Yes, I like the edgy, brooding, like master swordsman, dual-wielding, like, characters. I like those. That's an easy get for me if you want to make a character that'll end up being, like, my favorite. That'll be it. But, man, yeah, no, I'm still kind of like, I'm kind of ashamed myself about it. I'm just gonna say I'm still kind of ashamed myself about it, but I can't take it back now. And unfortunately, I can't transfer my account over from console to PC because those 90 hours were on console, not on PC. And I don't think I can account transfer or cross save. I don't think that those are available for, like, for the game. So, yeah, the only chance I ever have to come back to Neverwinter is if I can account transfer, so I can continue playing that shameful copycat character. Anyway, Path of Exile. Nah, not gonna come back to Path of Exile. I understand how great the game is. I just don't feel like playing a Diablo-like right now. Phantasy Star Online 1. That's a maybe for me. That is a maybe. Actually, it might be even less than maybe. Yeah, it might be even an even less than maybe. Yeah. Yeah, they'll probably be like a less than maybe. Like I said, Phantasy Star Online is one of my favorite games of all time. It is. It definitely is. Phantasy Star Online is one of my favorite game series of all time, which includes the likes of, like, Phantasy Star Universe and stuff like that. So I guess between all of this, man, unfortunately, like, even though it does hold a special place, like, with me, I don't think I could come back to it right now because I already played a good chunk of it through, like, private servers quite a bit ago, and I really don't have any, like, reason to, like, go back to it. Like, if I have, like, friends who want to play Phantasy Star Online, though, hell, I'm doing it. I'm absolutely doing it. Like, if people want to play Phantasy Star Online with me, at a drop of a pin, I'm like, yeah, I'm in. But for me, myself, yeah, not really gonna go for that. Phantasy Star Online 2, that gets no support from the team right now, so nope, can't do that. New Genesis, nope, not going back to that. Phantasy Star Universe, same. Actually, I think that this is a maybe more so than the original Phantasy Star, because unlike Phantasy Star Online, I really didn't progress much with the universe. And I think, like, there's a pretty prominent, like, private server right now that is still open. So, I mean, if I want to get my fill of Phantasy Star Universe, I could always just do that. Hey, that might be an idea, huh? That might be an idea. I think what I can say about Phantasy Star Universe is, like, aesthetically, it doesn't appeal to me as much as Phantasy Star Online. But the core of the game is still there. The combat is kind of wonky, but I can still definitely play it. I definitely can still play it. So I didn't care much about the story for Phantasy Star Universe. I mean, maybe I did care for it at a point when I was younger, but as it stands right now, the only reason I would want to go back to Phantasy Star Universe is just to exist in the ecosystem that is a Phantasy Star game, but also just do the whole like classic like farming. Just like, hey, I want this rare item. I'm just gonna farm this like instance, this dungeon, this mission as much as I can, and then like I'll level up classes. If I want to use like a double-bladed like saber, I have to like level up like this class as well and stuff like that. Like, I think I just like the series so much that even though Phantasy Star Universe might be average, I'll still play it. I just have that much of a strong affinity for PSO. But yeah, that's a maybe for me. Oh, Planet Side 2. I already determined this for myself like I think like a day ago. No. Ragnarok Online. Oh, wait, actually, this is... Okay, so this one is going to be a no because apparently the company behind Ragnarok Online are sending out nukes to as many private servers as they can. So they're killing the private servers for like Ragnarok Online. So yeah, the private server I used to play on for Ragnarok Online, yeah, that's dead already. So I mean, shoot, X dead. to me. RuneScape, old school. No. I think the opportunity for me to get into RuneScape has long since gone for me. Man. I love the community lore for RuneScape and how the community lore can actually bleed into actual canon lore for RuneScape. Like reading up and researching about like community like events, good or bad, that happened like in the game. Like, just I think one of the most prominent ones is like the what was it? The Falador Massacre. Like, the whole story behind the Falador Massacre was so interesting, and the fact that with the Falador Massacre, they actually like canonized it in the game lore is very awesome to me. I love it when companies behind MMOs like take very prominent community events and then just canonize it within their lore. Yeah, if you don't know, Falador Massacre was basically an event that happened where, due to a glitch, I think a person was flagged as being able to kill people like in cities. So he just basically went on like a killing spree in like I think the town was actually called Falador. Yeah, so he actually went on a like killing spree like in Falador, and then eventually like got permabanned. Yeah. He eventually got permabanned, right? And like that event in the game was so like well known that that Jagex like canonized it in the game, and actually ended up making a Falador Massacre event at some point down the line. So this is just one of the examples of what really appeals to me when it comes to RuneScape. But having that happen like in the modern day now, like having like community events and community happenings like that being canonized into the lore is kind of hard to happen these days now. So that's one of the main appeals of RuneScape to me. I don't like the whole like skill grinding stuff in that game. I mean, maybe if I was younger I would have liked that, but right now, RuneScape, nah, not for me. Shin Megami Tensei Imagine. There is a private server for this one, but I think it might be dead. But actually, let me find out. Let me go find out over here. Let's see. Let's see. How many people are online here? Oh, well. Oh, that's, huh. Can I... Oh, there we go. All right, perfect. So how do we... Okay, so there we go. I found the site of where, like, you know, I can play, like, Imagine still. Oh, man. Oh, and it's still being, like, updated. Wow. Nice. Okay. I don't know if it shows, like, how many players are actually on, but yeah. It is still possible. So here's the thing about Imagine. The thing about Shin Megami Tensei Imagine, after, like, looking up, like, if I can still play it or not, if I can determine it dead or not. I think the thing I like about Imagine the most, it's like, the combat system was not great. The graphics were left a lot to, like, it was all right, I guess. Maybe for the time it was all right, but I think the main appeal for me when it comes to SMT Imagine was the UI. I'm just gonna say, like, the UI of SMT Imagine, it was so appealing for me. Like, SMT Imagine, I'm so, like, freaking weird. Like, I'm actually just so freaking weird. Like, look at this. Normally people would think, like, why would you find this UI appealing? The reason why I find this UI appealing is just that I like the, like, digital design of it. The digital design of, like, if a UI in a game has a digital design, that's super appealing for me. Like, look how old this looks. Look how dated this looks. In the right way. In the right way. This looks super appealing for me. And I would totally play this game just to experience, like, the aesthetic of the game. Because I'm not a really big Shin Megami Tensei guy. But I would play this just to see, like, just to experience it one more time. Because I did play it in the past, but not as often as one would think. I would say my estimated time was about, say, only like 10 hours. But in that 10 hours though, I really just I ended up liking the aesthetic of the game. The game combat was so slow though. It was so slow. That's why it's only like a maybe for me. Actually, maybe less than maybe. Yeah, maybe less than maybe. Oh, Skyforge. Look at this one. This one, I'm like, nah, not going back to that one. The only thing I can say about Skyforge is, like, maybe I guess the setting for it was pretty good, but other than that, I did not understand any of the systems implemented in that game, and I just played blind, and then I just stopped. Star Trek Online. I'm not a big Trekkie. And I don't think I would be going back to Star Trek Online. For that reason, because Star Trek Online, just like with Lord of the Rings Online, I think they're all made by the same company too. That's funny, but just like with Lord of the Rings Online, Star Trek Online, it's made for people who are Star Trek fans, and me, I'm not the biggest one. I respect it, I like it, but I'm not too deep into, like, the Star Trek stuff, like, at all. Now, speaking of too deep, immediately, yes, this one right here, Star Wars: The Old Republic. The reason why I say yes to Star Wars: The Old Republic is simply because, okay, let me get that out there. Simply because I am a very big casual Star Wars fan. Do I know lore? Not really. But do I like the aesthetic of Star Wars? Oh, absolutely. Also, I'm a really big KOTOR fan as well, so knowing that this game is really, like, it really just continues the lore of, like, KOTOR and, like, the legends, like, canon in, like, Star Wars. And I think the really big positive of this game for me is that each class has its own unique story. And there are a lot of classes in the game. There's, like, 8 base classes in the game. 4 for dark side, 4 for light side, and each one of them has their own unique story that spans like 3 pretty decently long chapters. And then you just get into like all the expansion stuff. So just having a lot of that story content there is very appealing for me in terms of in terms of a streaming perspective. This is a really easy like streaming game for me, and one that I'm basically like I think I am going to download that for on like my laptop and play over at the hotel when I get back there on like Monday. But yeah, the combat of the game is nothing to write home about. Basically, the only reason I would be playing this game is for like the story, and also because I just like the aesthetic of Star Wars. Yeah, that's basically why. Oh, also, one of the dislikes I have about this is that they really do incentivize you to subscribe, because this was formerly a subscription-based MMO. They level cap you 20 levels under the actual cap if you don't subscribe. But another thing that they do different when it comes to the subscription, which is sort of like a positive, even though it's still like subscription gated, is that all the expansions for the Old Republic you gain access to if you subscribe. Just a normal subscription. If you do a normal subscription, you gain access to all the expansions and all future expansions too. So that's a sort of positive for me. And I have played this in the past too, but there has only been one class that I actually finished the story for, and that was I almost wrote it down there. I played this for like several hours. I don't even remember. Maybe like 45 hours. But I played Sith Inquisitor to completion, and I would definitely do it again just for the stream's sake. And plus, because I haven't really experienced the story in such a long time, I'm probably just gonna do it anyway, right? Yeah. Also, I'm gonna try to play the stories in like a chronological order, because there are some stories that definitely take place before certain characters' other stories, right? I know it's a garbled mess that the community has been debating over since the game's inception, but hey, if I can find something that's close enough, I'll do it. So yeah, Old Republic, yes for me. That's definitely something you're going to see me play. Terra, no. Terra, no. Nothing about the game really stands out to me anymore, aside from the fact that why do the Ellen always get all the coolest classes? Yep, there's that. And then Toontown Online. That's a 0-7 for me. There might be a private server for Toontown Online. I'm just gonna say that was a pretty good part of my youth, but a youth that I barely remember. All I know is that I'm just chucking pies at robots. Chucking pies at robots and playing the maze game at the trolley. And that's all I got. Man. Okay, so we got 4 more games here. Vindictus is actually something I might come back to. In fact, very likely, I might actually try that out right before leaving. The thing I liked about Vindictus is that the combat system reminded me of Dynasty Warriors, and being a Dynasty Warriors online like player at the time, that is appealing for me, so I will play that for that fact, and because of the fact that I can't play Dynasty Warriors online anymore. That kind of, you know, coping. Also, I like how each class has its own like identity in terms of like combat style and stuff like that. Nothing is homogenized, right? No classes are homogenized over each other. There are definitely more definitely more unique like classes now. I think there's like a lady that uses like warp bullets or something. That's, I don't know. I don't know about that kind of direction in terms of characters, but I would totally play a Lon again. So I think my main back then was a Karok. Yeah, I think my main back then was a Karok, because I could just like, you know, clash with just big enemies. That was the fun part. But yeah, didn't care much about the story, like with most things. But I mean, in terms of just like playing the game and then just like having a good time with it, I had a good time with Vindictus. I didn't play it too much. I'd say about my estimated play time is about, say, Estimated playtime is about, I guess, about like maybe 24 hours at most. Not too long, but I would come back to it. Warframe. Warframe. Oh man. I have played this game for 80 hours on console, but Warframe is kind of in a maybe limbo for me. Oh no, actually, I actually touched on Warframe earlier. The only reason I'm not going to come back to Warframe yet is because they haven't implemented cross-save yet. Once they implement cross-save, then I'm going to go back into it. Because I like the Diablo-style loot system when it comes to like Warframe. I like the instance missions. The hub worlds are fine, even though they're just super condensed. They have open world instances, which are also fun too. And, well, you know, segmented into like another part of the game. The lore, I couldn't give a toss about. The different suits, I feel like... There's a thing about the different Tenno suits. I don't think I'm kind of like indifferent about them, simply because at its core, each suit fights the same. Like when it comes to gun and weapon play. But the uniqueness comes from their abilities. And there are some abilities that just really fall flat for me. But there are some suits that are just really cool for me, like Excalibur Prime. Wait, not Excalibur Prime, Excalibur Umbra. So, yeah. It's here and there when it comes to, like, the suits, or aka the classes for me. Also, I kind of don't like the fact that you have to, like, either... You can farm to craft the suit, but also, like, you can also, like, pay, like, real money to just unlock the suit for you to get. But also, if you try to craft stuff, it's like time gated as well, and I'm like, oh, I don't like that. I don't like the time gating of crafting. The time gating of crafting is just like something that's just really unappealing for me, and one of the reasons why I kind of just stopped playing Warframe, because it's like, hey, I got all the stuff to make this new suit, and then I'm like, all right, I gotta wait a couple days. I think it was a couple days. Something in that game took 3 days to like make. And I think, and it might have not been a suit. It might have been story related, because if it was story related, then screw that noise. But yeah, I mean, the aesthetic of Warframe, the cyber ninjas are cool, but the sci-fi of it is not appealing for me compared to something like Phantasy Star Online. I like that, like, pseudo-anime comic book style, like, very bright, high fantasy, aesthetic that Phantasy Star Online, the original, had. Because look here. Look at Warframe UI. Just look at this. This might do it for some people, yes, but to me, I'm like, it's just passable for me. But like PSO, oh my god, not Pakistan State Oil, nope. Phantasy Star Online, there you go. Oh my god, Phantasy Star Online 1. Oh my goodness, what the heck? No, not that. Okay, here's the... Why is it showing PSO2? I don't want PSO2. Okay, Phantasy Star Online for the GameCube. There we go. Look at the box art here. Just look at the box art here. This right here is, in my opinion, one of the greatest box arts ever in terms of just gaming. You can't really see it too well right here, but this right here, this encapsulates the aesthetic of Phantasy Star Online that I favor the most. And just in terms of gaming, favor the most out of anything. Look at all the bright colors. Look how colorful it is. It's not anime, but it's anime, like, adjacent with, like, a comic book, like, well, I wouldn't say comic book, but it's very, like, uniquely anime adjacent. Yeah, I just like the look of it. It just screams 90s like sci-fi. Like 90s high fantasy sci-fi. And I think there hasn't been any game that came out like after this that really encapsulated that kind of aesthetic for me. Yeah. So, yeah, Warframe's a maybe. I'll come back to it when they implement cross save. World of Warcraft, nope. And World of Warcraft Classic, not really. Nope. Even though my favorite class does exist in these games, which is Enhancement Shaman. Man, World of Warcraft, the state of World of Warcraft right now, without going too deep into it, is not looking like in a good spot. Yeah. I'm just gonna say that much because I can't really explain it without really going too deep into it, but from what I've heard from hearsay, World of Warcraft is not in a good spot right now. And the thing about Classic, I would go back to first, other than like normal, like WoW. But the problem with Classic is that I stopped playing before, I stopped playing during a certain point in Vanilla Classic, and then I unfortunately just haven't returned to it, and now they're about to release like Wrath of the Lich King Classic. And at that point, I'm like, I'm already too far behind. I already missed Burning Crusade. I already missed the opening of that like really big like gate or something that was a really big deal back in the day. I didn't get like much like dungeons done. It's like I'm too far behind. I'm just not gonna come back to it because I'm just too far behind. Even if that means leaving behind my favorite class in any MMO ever, which is Enhancement Shaman. I don't know. I just can't come back to it. Let's see. Also, I'm just gonna say here. Yeah. Funnily enough, I really wanted to play World of Warcraft when I was younger, but couldn't because of like the subscription requirement for like the game. I mean, I was a kid. I didn't have money. But man, it would have made such a difference if I played World of Warcraft in its vanilla state way back when. If I was able to do that, I think gaming for me, like my own personal experience with gaming, could have been shaped really differently. Because this is definitely a game where, if given the opportunity to play when I was younger, I would so play it so much when I was younger. But unfortunately, I didn't get to. So this eluded me, and basically the hallmark of MMOs for the longest time in its history just eluded me. And it's gonna elude me again. So there's that. World of Warcraft Classic, I think I played, I'm gonna say, yeah, I'm gonna put it right here. Estimated time, 100 hours. I spent a lot of time in Classic, but I didn't really get much done because I was an altaholic, which is one of the killers of progress for players. Just one of the killers of progress, just being an altaholic. And normal World of Warcraft, I didn't get too much in there. I think it was just like, what, 25 hours? Yeah, not really much to write home about. But yeah, that's going through the list of every MMO. Ooh, excuse me. Within reason that I've played. So let's go down the list before I end this, because I'm gonna eat dinner. Well, not dinner. I'm gonna eat a late lunch in about a bit. So, Age of Wushu? Nope. Arcade? Absolutely not. Well, that's being a bit harsh. No, Age of Wushu? Absolutely not. Arcade? No. Atlantica Online? No. Black Desert? Absolutely. Actually, maybe actually just like. Nah, I don't see myself coming back to it. Yeah, maybe not Black Desert. Conqueror's Blade, I'll play a little bit more just to see like how it actually ends up being. So maybe it's a maybe then. Well, I mean, I did say I was gonna play it a little bit more, so yeah, I guess it is like that. Destiny 2, the only thing like really like hampering me from Destiny 2 is the fact that even though with cross save, I still have to buy all the expansions again. So, oh yeah, I still have to buy all the expansions again. So that's a definite maybe for me. I have to buy all the expansions because the expansions don't transfer over from like console. Well, using the cross save, right? It doesn't do that. Dragon's Nest, forget that. Yes to Dungeons and Dragons Online, expect that. Dungeon Fighter Online, less than maybe. I'd say less than maybe. Yeah, I'd say less than maybe. It's not looking likely for that one. Elder Scrolls Online, that is a definite maybe. Elf Sword, nope. EverQuest, nope. Final Fantasy 11, yes, if I decide to, you know, buy a subscription. I think a subscription to Final Fantasy 11 is like, what? FF11 subscription? What's the monthly service fee for this? Oh, it's $12. 12 bucks is not bad. It's not 15, but still something. So Final Fantasy 14, absolutely not, unless they completely rehaul their combat system, which they're not going to do, obviously. Obviously, they're not going to do that. So I don't think I'm ever going to go back to Final Fantasy 14, unless I have friends that really convince me to go back. Grand Fantasia, no. Guild Wars 2, possibly. It's definitely possible, but it's not the top of the priority, but still in the possibilities. Lord of the Rings Online, nope, because I am not a Lord of the Rings fan like that. Lost Ark, definitely, possibly. Depends on when they release that, like, new scouter class or whatever. The one that's just Iron Man. MapleStory, nope. Monster Hunter Frontier, why'd I put this here? I still play this. Neverwinter, nope. Path of Exile, nope. Phantasy Star Online 1. One of my favorite games of all time, but I have no reason to go back to it and play it again. So that's a less than maybe. Phantasy Star Online 2, nope, because of this guy right here, bundling all of like the support to it, and having this here just as like a relic you can go back to. Phantasy Star Universe, that's a maybe, because there is still a lot of stuff that I haven't done in Phantasy Star Universe, so that's a definite maybe. Planet Side 2 is a nope, because it's just not fun. Ragnarok Online, yeah, that should tell you much about the usual way people play Ragnarok Online. RuneScape, too far past the I'm too far past the time for the time to play RuneScape, so nope. SMT Imagine, less than likely. I would only go back to it to experience the aesthetic of the game, but I don't think I would actually play it. Skyforge, nope. Star Trek Online, not a Trekkie. Star Wars The Old Republic, absolutely. I'm definitely coming back to that one. Terra, nope. Toontown Online, salutes out to that. Vindictus, I'm probably going to be trying this out later today. I'm not going to lie. Warframe, waiting for cross save. And then World of Warcraft and World of Warcraft Classic are definite nopes for me. Also because of the state of the games right now, but also I don't want to pay a subscription for, you know, to get access to these two. Also because I'm far behind anyway, so I find no point in it. So yeah, that's basically it. That's going through all the MMOs that I played in my life, within these like constraints that I have here. So yeah, that's basically it for the stream. The next stream, I'm gonna say it's not gonna be tomorrow because I have something to do tomorrow. If I can do it on Sunday, I will, but I have to pack that day, so the next stream might not be until like Monday when I'm actually at the hotel. So this is probably the only good quality stream you guys are gonna get so far for like the next 2 weeks. So yeah, just a heads up, I'm gonna be gone for a little bit, returning on Monday most likely at the latest in not so great internet again. But hey, it's just a thing that happens, right? It's just a thing, it's just a thing, I can't do anything about it. I have to do this. But hey, as long as when I return this, I can expect good quality from me again. Yeah. So other than that, I think that's it for me. Thank you for dropping by, and I will see you on Monday. I'm just gonna go eat. I'm just gonna go eat. I don't really have too much of an appetite, but I need to eat. Yeah, I need to eat. It's just, it's a thing people need to do to survive. So I will do that. I will survive. Don't expect me to sing that. I do not sing. At least not yet. Just wait for that. At some point. Just wait for it. Just wait for it. Just wait for it. Yeah? Yeah? Okay. Alright, I'm off. See you next time.